Oh, is this just an instrumental song? Bro, I actually I dig the fuck out of that. I didn't know that the Eagles had any fucking just instrumental songs. Let me just put that on my watch later so I remind myself to listen to the full song there. It's more for a research segment. Okay, gotcha. We'll listen to this while I look at the context you say this. All right, now I'm ready. I think I'm ready now. God, guys, this new thumbnail is fucking. Oh man, this new thumbnail is fucking bitchin', is it not? Wait. Hold on. What is that? Female perversions? What is that? I don't know why. I don't know why this one was included, but I fucking love it. I recommend the Jin Hakim BP video. Wait, what is BP? One second. Okay, let me go back to. Sorry, there is no ADD medicine in Houston right now, so apologies if I seem scatterbrained. I am scatterbrained. All right, I'm mentally ill. All right. Jin Hakim. This one? Oh, there's one that's Hakim here.
Hello.
Oh, breaking points. Yes, Happy New Year. Listen. It's the end of 2023. And while this wasn't the worst year of my entire life, boy howdy. I don't even know what happened in 2023, if I'm completely fucking honest, y'all. I feel like 2023 was just like the year of like very little news happening. Very little news happened. Very little happened in general. But it felt like there was a lot of news because the conspiracy theories just kept on blowing the fuck up. So I feel like. Wait, hold on. We can just look up top news stories of 2023. What the fuck happened? You can get growth covering Trump trials. Oh yeah, no, well that's gonna be a thing. Man, you know, I feel so stupid because I right when all of the indictments started coming out, right when all of the, all of the arguments about that started happening, I did so much research. I read the indictments all the way fucking through. I listened to expert opinion. I listened to legal opinions, etc. And you know what? None of it fucking mattered because conservatives just do not care about what is actually in. Like, if you listen to the debates that Destiny had with Rob Noor and Drone Tech the past couple of days, bro, it doesn't matter what the fuck the like statement of fact is. It doesn't matter what actually happened. It doesn't matter what evidence is brought to show you why the statement of fact is true. Bro, don't you understand? Trump has just been unfairly maligned. Don't you understand? Trump has just been the only reason he tried to steal the election is because everyone was so fucking mean to him. Everyone was just so mean to Trump. He couldn't help himself. He was just in a mind state of a fugue state where he was, I have to stay in power. I have to stay in power because everyone fucking hates me. I'm a fucking retarded child. And so I'm going to overthrow the American government. Bro, I fucking hate conservatives. They will fucking infantilize like a motherfucker. Anyone that fucking is on their side, like, oh, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna read Trump's mind? Are you gonna read Trump's mind to see if he had intent? No, I'm just gonna look at the words that he said, the things that he did, the actions that he took, and then I'm going to make a determination. Could this motherfucker have possibly actually thought with any reasonable fucking state of mind? Do I think that he actually thought the election was stolen? No, because there's so much evidence to the contrary. But it doesn't matter as long as you're Donald Trump, a retarded fucking child, fucking wannabe like mob boss dictator of the United fucking States who walks around with a fucking duck posture because his fat fucking gut is fucking curving his fucking spinal cord forward like a girl trying to make her ass look bigger. God, I cannot stand conservatives. Holy fuck. Sorry for soying out, but God, it just like fucking, it actually blows my fucking mind, dude. Oh shit. Black Mask is in chat. Let me read what he said. One sec. You don't know how fucking blue ball I felt at the moment of time. Fuck, I can't even speak right now. You don't know how fucking blue ball I feel at the amount of times we haven't talked, especially since I have a topic I know I wanted to stick to. Have a nice secular new year. Millet, Gaza, war, Trump. What's Millet? There's not a thread of evidence Trump incited a riot. Oh, too bad. That's not what he was indicted for. Oh yeah, I didn't look at the president of Argentina stuff because, like, I'm not gonna lie. What's his name? Milei. Where is it? You're telling me that they're not gonna have him in the fucking. Not gonna lie, any world leader that dresses like this for any reason other than Halloween, I don't feel a great need to cover that. Based as fuck. You know what? It would make sense that conservatives would say that that's based. You know what? Like, given that your favorite candidate is actually a cartoonishly fucking retarded, wannabe dictator, a guy dressing like this, it does not surprise me that you think that that's based. This is what happened to every Trump supporter when they tried to vote for Trump in 2020. This is what happened. Yes, this is the Dominion machines. So fucking stupid. DeSantis, oh man, you know what? That's also pretty depressing because if we look at the 538 Republican primary polls, Has DeSantis dipped below? Oh no, he's still technically in second place. He's still technically in second place. But man, DeSantis bro's down bad, dude. DeSantis bro's down bad. But I guess Black Mask, if you want to talk about Trump, we can talk about Trump here in a little bit. All right, once I get into the flow of things. Did you see Haley?
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run. The freedom.
Oh no. Haley declines to say slavery was part of the
and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was?
How bad does it feel to be a Republican running against Trump? Dude, so fucking true. I mean, like, when you're a Republican and you can't say that slavery caused the Civil War, that's pretty bad. But when you're a Republican and you can't say that slavery was part of the Civil War, and you're still losing to fucking Trump, a guy with fucking how many criminal and like he has 4 criminal indictments, and then there's how many charges in each one of those indictments? Like, bro, how does that make them feel? I actually want to know. I want to know their true in their heart of hearts. I want to know in their heart of hearts how it feels to be losing to a guy that is actually at risk of being put in like the Atlanta State Jail or whatever wherever the name of the jail is, like to be put in a state correctional facility that he can't pardon his way out of. You're losing to that. How fucking bad does that feel, bro? You're not afraid to of slavery's involvement in the Civil War, but they are afraid to point out that their competition is a criminal who commits crimes. Oh, shit. Fucking true.
I'm sorry?
I'm not running for president. I wanted to see your
That's a good thing.
On the cause of the Civil War.
I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government and what the rights of the people are. And I will always stand by the fact that I think government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. Government doesn't need to tell you how to live your life. They don't need to tell you what you can and can't do. They don't need
to own another human being, Nikki? Like owning another human being? Is that what the government's not allowed to make you do? I think that the government telling you that you cannot own another human being is a good thing. I think that is a perfectly acceptable function of government.
Government doesn't need to tell you how to live your life. They don't need to tell you what you can and can't do. They don't need to be a part of your life. They need to make sure that you have freedom. We need to have capitalism. We need to have economic freedom. We need to make sure that we do all things so that
economic freedom, like making sure that our workers, I don't even believe in getting rid of the minimum wage. I believe in owning the people so that I can extract 100% of their surplus labor. Oh, let's go full Marxian on it, okay? My username on Discord is theking2934. Just send me a friend request. It's Sondsol.
Individuals have the liberties so that they can have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to do or be anything they want to be without government getting in the way.
Thank you. And in the year 2023, it's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Uh-oh! Did you see her face there? Like, oh shit, that's a bad face.
Next question.
Oh man, she was bad. Oh, she felt bad. She was like, oh, that's what he wanted. Oh, he wanted me to say that slavery was bad, dude. Ah, fuck. He threw me a grounder and I fucking missed it, dude. Wait, she doubled down? Bro, no way.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley is clarifying some remarks that she made about the Civil War. The controversy started on Wednesday at a town hall in New Hampshire. Someone asked the former South Carolina governor about the cause of the Civil War, In her initial answer, she did not mention the role of slavery. Yesterday, she backpedaled on that remark, saying this.
Of course the Civil War was about slavery. We know that. That's unquestioned, always the case. We know the Civil War was about slavery. But it was also more than that. It was about the freedoms of every individual. It was about...
Oh my God, I can't do it, dude. I can't fucking do it, dude. Listen, I'm not gonna fucking lie. I listening to Rob and listening to Drone Tech on Destiny's stream the past couple of days, right? And seeing, you know, things on social media, it is just like reignited a true fucking disdain for like the modern conservative. Holy shit. Like the whining about shit they don't understand. If they understood it and they had an actual argument, right? And I just disagreed, that would be one thing. There are a lot of conservatives that I just disagree with. But it's the whining and, you know, excusing of what it seems to be, even in their minds, actually bad things that Trump did, but then hand waving it and saying, but you don't understand, they were just so fucking mean to him. They were just so fucking mean to Trump. And it's just, if disagreement with Marxism isn't whining, it is whining. Wait, hold on. Their disagreement is with our liberal system of governance, where you have to peacefully transfer the power to the next person if you lose the election. That you don't get to just willy-nilly go around and fucking try and change electors and shit like that. That is what they were whining about not being able to subvert our system of governance. That is what their whining is. If you think that our system of governance is Marxism, we can have that conversation, but that's fucking delusional. Like, trickle-down economics is bad, but at least it makes some logical sense. Like, yeah, at least trickle-down economics has some, albeit not perfect, but some basis in reality, right? Like, if there's more economic productivity, yeah, depending on how everything goes, it will technically increase the general wealth of the society. Trickle-down economic, no actual right-wing economist uses that term. Well, man, you know what? I don't know if I like 100% agree or disagree with you on right-wing economists using that term, but you know what? The politicians do, and the people I've debated about conservative versus liberal economics definitely do. They defend the idea of trickle-down economics. It do be trickling down, they say. Yep, we've watched Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell. Neither of them are fucking retarded. I disagree with them on some things, right? But I don't think that they're retarded or, well, no, I don't think either of them are evil. They have a very different and, I would say their worldview is callous, I would say. And the prescriptions that people get out of their worldview are extraordinarily callous, even if they're not themselves extremely callous. But like, yeah, I don't think that all conservatives are fucking evil little imps that are trying to kill as many black people or poor people as possible. Which is why I was saying a minute ago, I just don't like the fucking whining. I don't like the fact that people don't argue like from a basis of fact. Sowell is wacky. Well, we watched a whole Milton Friedman documentary or something. But I can't remember if we ever watched anything with Sowell. All right, I accepted your friend request, Black Mask. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Okay.
About the role of government.
In the polls, Haley is trailing behind former President Donald Trump by a wide margin. However, she is neck and neck for the #2 slot with the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Bro, why does he look like a fucking Minecraft character? Holy shit.
At a presidential campaign event in
Dude's
Iowa,
blocky.
DeSantis called Haley's response, quote, an incomprehensible word salad.
The Biden administration, meantime, meeting with the Mexican president this week in attempts to drive down.
Oh man, there's a fuck. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But there was a video of DeSantis asking or like answering some little girl's question at a rally, and it was like the most rehearsed, like I'm gonna practice this facial expression in the mirror type of like thing while she's asking the question, like. For like a solid 15 seconds straight of him holding that facial expression. He's a robot. Robot Ron. Meatball Ron is insulting, and you can't come back from Meatball Ron. But Robot Ron is so fucking accurate, dude. Why do you have such a hard time? No, I have a very easy time understanding why someone on the right believes what they believe. It's because it's really easy, it's really simple, and it's largely based on fear. It's very easy to understand the mindset of someone on the right. What part of the mindset of the right do I not understand? Okay, any other funny memes that we should look at really quick? Saying it like that? No, I'm saying it like it is. Because that is how when I see conversations with conservatives. Hi, Waffles. What's up, cat? You're not jumping back onto the shelf. You already broke my fucking Final Fantasy VII case, so you're not going back onto the shelf. You can chill right here. You can chill right here, cat.
I understand the communists. Do I agree with it? No. Do I understand it? Yes, I do. You just gotta pick which value system you believe in. If your value system is productivity, struggle, adversity, triumph, competition, that's the conservative side. If you believe in sharing, kumbaya, feeling good.
Sorry, I was thinking about my cat for a second.
I understand the communists. Do I agree with it? No. Do I understand it? Yes, I do. You just gotta pick which value system you believe in. If your value system is productivity, struggle, adversity, triumph, competition, that's the conservative side. If you believe in sharing, kumbaya, feeling good, you're thinking about the liberal side. They're both right. It just depends on your value system. I'm not towards communism, socialism, but like, I understand the communists. Do I agree with it? No. Do I understand it? Yes, I do. You just gotta pick which value.
Wow, that's a really good loop.
If
Holy
your value
shit.
system is productivity.
They got one of their Pulitzer Prize winners to launder the mass rape atrocity propaganda in the New York Times, which shows you just how desperate they are to keep the genocide going by keeping liberals on board. And if you read the piece carefully, that they have zero evidence. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done for a while. I actually do think I am super done looking at lefty stuff or looking at, you know, commies or the pro-Palestinian, like crazy Hamas lovers. Like, I think I'm done. All right. Wait, that's.
I understand that.
Wait, what did you link? Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, I think that I can't handle any more of the lefties because it's constant, it's fucking crazy, and it's fucking disgusting what they say. The conservatives, they're especially because Jan 6th is coming up. I definitely want to do some debates over that. Yeah. I need a break from the lefty stuff, okay? The right is much more intelligent than the radical left. No, the radical right and the radical left are both equally fucking crazy. And 50% of the Republicans in this country are on the like radical Trumpist fucking crazy train that we've been witnessing for the past, 8 years, 9 years? Okay, we're going to watch one video and then we'll talk to Black Mask. Let me just go here. Did I open up the... No, I didn't. Wait, maybe I did. Yes, I did.
All right, everybody, it's our favorite time of the week again when we get to answer a few of your questions. Sagar, what is up first?
Number 1, Nathan Neal, books on Napoleon. With the new movie out, what are the must-read books on Napoleon?
I didn't even know there was a movie out.
Yes.
Is it just called Napoleon?
It's called Napoleon. It's Ridley Scott. It's Joaquin Phoenix. I have not seen it yet. I'm going to try and see it sometime this week. Maybe I'll do a review.
Is this another one of those like
something.
friggin' 4-hour movies?
It is. Well, let's see. Let's see what the runtime is. Napoleon
I don't have time for all this.
runtime.
People need
2
it
hours and 38
for editing.
minutes. That is a bit long. We'll say 158 minutes, but for Ridley, that's actually a bit short. I hate to say it. Everyone I know who has seen the movie says the movie is bad. But
no,
it
really?
has a 68% approval, the best or any out there, but it's probably enough of a primer to give it to you. I don't remember it being too long. Oh, it's 976 pages, I guess. So I listened to it on audiobook. It was like 40 hours, something like that. Which to me, I mean, it's a biopic. That's not a crazy amount, I think. You gotta watch it. First, that's like over 2 hours long, but it's an amazing film. Okay,
Next question. Chad Wiggins, the whole Israel truth. It seems like you guys only tell the side of Palestine and Hamas. It seems like you only paint Israel black. Israel's all bad. I don't seem like you're giving Israel's point of view. Concerned premium member. Well, first of all, I would say, Sagar interviewed Jocko Willink, who definitely has a different perspective. So I do think, in fairness, question came in before that interview was
that's right.
released. The other thing I would say about this is our government is funding Israel. Our government, our taxpayer dollars, our government, it's our bombs that are being dropped. So I think there is an added level of scrutiny when that's the case,
did we beat
no matter
Flaherty?
what. But number 2, and this will be more controversial.
Oh, we did.
Here we go. I asked Norm Finkelstein when I interviewed him, can you steel man the Israeli case? Like, put your view of this conflict aside, try to steel man for me the Israeli case of what's unfolding right now. And he said, ordinarily that is a really good exercise and it's really important to do. But you can't really both sides of genocide. And
Oh my
I feel
God.
the same way. When I see, we were very clear and have always been very clear about condemning the atrocities committed by Hamas, the attacks on innocent civilians. So to me, it's only consistent to condemn those killings and murders and massacres and what was truly a war crime committed there, and to also condemn what is being done right now to all 2.2 million citizens of Gaza.
I'm sorry. I can't do it. I don't want to. I don't want to. Let's see. Top news stories of 2023. After this commercial. Trump gave us a stable economy. Oh, man, it's almost like we had a stable economy under Obama as well. And we've had a stable economy under Biden as well. But we don't look at the economy when it's the Democrats. We only look at the first 3 years of the presidencies of Republicans. Because if we look at the last year of the last 2 Republican presidents, we wouldn't be able to say a stable economy. Biden's economy is absolute garbage. Okay, whatever you say, brother. I mean, like we still. I mean, U.S. Oh, 1 second. Let me just do a U.S. GDP over time. Let's see. Well, it seems like our GDP has grown exclusively under Biden. Still waiting on that fucking recession. Still waiting on that motherfucking recession. Biden gave us massive inflation. That's weird because the inflation actually began before Biden was in office. And then it continued to rise across the entire world. I didn't know that Biden, after being in office for like 2 months, was able to increase the inflationary forces across the entire world. Anyway, so yeah, well, listen. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah. Start the call. I don't even know what we're talking about. Which topic are we doing first? Uh-oh, hold on one second. I got to change my testing. Can you hear me?
Okay, now is it working?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, when I connected my earphones,
Okay,
it cut
yeah.
my internet.
So I didn't really want to talk about the Trump stuff, but I did want to talk about more about, because I used to be, I think I used to be more like a Centauri libertarian, but now I think I'm like very far right.
All right.
I've gotten to the point where I really don't know if there's a single like right-wing policy you could convince me that is wrong. Like even like I believe we should definitely lock up all doctors who provide any transsexual surgeries. And I'm really starting to become radicalized after especially after October 7th, but even before that.
Wow, I didn't know that a terrorist attack on the Jewish state of Israel would cause you to be radicalized against transgender people, but okay.
No, I believe that before the October 7th attack, but I'm saying in general, I think ever since 2022, I've shifted massively.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I don't want to debate every single possible conceivable right wing.
I do think, as a general ideological rule, I don't understand why you reject right wing politics or far right politics.
This is so unbelievably general of a topic that I don't know if we can even have the conversation.
Well, let me put it this way. You believe the only way to combat Marxism is simply by this stupid fucking Biden neoliberal bullshit.
Oh, no. Let me be clear. There are multiple ways to combat Marxism. I just think that the best way is to do it through liberal means. But rather than, putting people into fucking camps and shit like that,
What about fascism is bad?
In which aspect? I think that the economics of fascism, the way that they do corporatism is probably not the best way to do economics. I think that the obsession with the state, the totalitarianism that is the only important part.
Extreme form fascism. I just mean
this is classical. This is ideological and classical fascism, where authoritarianism is like the only part of it that is fast and directly tied to it 100% of the time. That they're not willing to give up the authoritarianism and totalitarianism.
So on an ideological level, you disagree with fascist authoritarianism?
Yes, I don't like totalitarianism.
I would agree with that, but the way I think about it is if Poly People says, you scratch a liberal fascist bleeds, and the implication of that is if you're not a Marxist, you're a liberal, then
I don't want to debate fucking Humegalol Twitch streamers who are no longer even on the platform, who have disappeared into obscurity. I don't want to talk about quotes from people like that. Or
Leaping Larry or Idan Simpson or...
Yeah, a bunch of Humegalols who anyone watching this video, if they're not already part of my live viewing audience, will never know who they are. I don't know who Leaping Larry is.
Idan Simpson.
Idan Simpson is a fucking 30 viewer Andy whose entire fucking Twitch career is predicated upon, sucking up to larger streamers who will never give him any clout. Yeah.
But I guess my point is, if we want to fight Idan Simpson and Idan Simpson says,
I don't have to fight Idan Simpson. Idan Simpson loses and fights to himself on a regular basis. I don't have to fight Idan Simpson.
No, I mean, we want to fight Idan Simpson's ideology more broadly.
Do you think that Idan Simpson's form of Marxist-Leninism is a popular form of politics?
for young people, I wouldn't say it's that rare, but
It is
like
super, 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 super uncommon. And the only way that you would think that Marxist-Leninist ideology is a popular thing in the real world is if you spend all of your time online.
okay, but let me finish my point. Just I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to fully say is that if we want to fight not just Adam Simpson, but what I call the regressive left in general, the regressive left in general says that people who are liberals are basically the same as people who are on the far right. So, like, at that point,
Yeah,
then
because they're
liberals
retarded.
should join the
Just
far
like
right.
you think that I'm a fucking Marxist because I'm
You're not a
relatively.
Marxist. You're
Okay.
anti-Marxist. You're a fascist because you're a liberal.
Okay, thank you for like assigning me these labels.
It was a joke, but yeah, no, you're not a Marxist.
Okay, I don't even know what
I
we're
just don't
arguing
think
about.
You know how to fight Marxism properly.
I think I'm fine with the way that I'm fighting Marxism now. I'm pushing back on their ideas. I think that like people are getting more and more tired of
their ideas. You'd want to start locking up like transsexual doctors.
That is not at all related to Marxism or Leninism
Yes,
or any.
The T in LGBT stands for Marxism.
Okay, you've been begging to talk to me, and now like the entire conversation is just memes. Or are we just going to be like doing memes the entire time? Or
no, no, I'm not trying to do memes. I'm being serious.
The T stands for Marxism, a word that has no letter T in it.
Yeah, well, the point I'm trying to make is that the same ideology that the TRAs use is the same ideology that Adam Simpson uses.
No. Because
Simpson,
even if I was to fucking even if I was to engage with you on this, the overwhelming majority of people who are like leftist trans people are going to be libertarian Marxists, all right, or libertarian leftists who are going to be like very, very much on the anarchist side of things, not the authoritarian type.
Leftism.
It would be like an overwhelmingly progressive to a fault kind of leftism.
That would be the same as what Aidan Simpson believes.
No, Aidan Simpson is not a progressive leftist fucking, anarchist type. He hates anarchists.
I mean, he disagrees with them on...
No, he hates them.
I've seen Aidan Simpson be friendly with Carpe Pax, who's definitely an anarchist.
I will have to look at it. I can't speak for all... I don't want to answer for all these people. I don't know what the argument is.
But
this is what we should do.
The only way to combat Marxism is if they say Marxism, the opposite of Marxism is fascism, because liberalism is the opposite of Marxism, and liberalism is fascism according to them. Then just embrace it and fight them on their own terms.
Okay, so should we also by that same line of reasoning, anyone that identifies as some kind of fascist, or that likes to say that all people who are liberals are automatically Marxist, should we lock them up as well for being like dishonest about?
No, because I think fascism is better than Marxism.
I do want to point something out to you. Number one, you do realize that fascism is one step removed from Marxism, right?
No.
Yes, it literally is.
Consider Matt Walsh a fascist.
I'm saying it literally is. The line goes from
fascist, then?
I think so, by his own admission, but if I'm honest, I don't pay that much attention to Matt Walsh. I just don't think he's a good person.
Fine.
But but really quick, I'm just going to point this out really quick. That Marxism, you go Marx, Engels, then a guy from France who I always forget his fucking name, who was an anarchist Marxist, and then what comes after that in the pedigree of ideologies. Immediately after that guy is fascism, classical fascism.
Okay, then how about we just embrace far-right politics in general then?
I don't. Okay, so this is the problem between in this conversation. You look at things as ideologies, and I look at things as let's look at this issue and let's look at this issue. And then let's take issue number one. Let's look at what kinds of things we can try to do to fix issue number one. Okay, let's look at issue number two. Let's look at what kinds of things that we can do, what kind of policies we can pass to fix issue number two. Cool. You say, okay, issue one and issue two are under the blanket of all the issues that we have in the United States. My ideology answers for everything that I could possibly even speak about issue 1 and 2. So therefore we should just institute my ideology and it will fix all of the problems. That's not how the world works. It's the thought process of someone who has never thought about actually fixing anything. It is the thought process of someone that has a basis in their politics of, I don't like the other side, I'm going to do whatever I can to spite the other side. It's a fundamentally, yeah, yours is a fundamentally spite-based politics that has no bearing in the real world, no answers for any real world problems. And
these are all ad hominems. Can you point to a specific policy I advocate for that you think doesn't have?
I don't know, because I've been trying to talk about a policy this entire time, and you keep on like gesturing at ideology.
Transsexuals.
What?
How about my policies regarding transsexuals?
What about them?
That?
I don't really want to talk about trans stuff right now because you said that you wanted to come in here and talk about fucking Trump. But like, if you want to talk about like authoritarianism because you're like all about like fascist like based all of a sudden, even though you're a fucking Jew,
I think fascism is bad, but I think far right politics is based. It's just that we call far right politics fascism.
Okay. This is what I need for this conversation to move forward. I need you to stop like making using the terminology of fucking retarded, theory bros, like, cut a liberal, fascist bleeds. And if I'm a liberal, then that means I'm a fascist and I'm going to call myself a fascist. We need to stop all of that because I'm not saying any of that stuff. And it makes it very, very difficult for me to have a conversation with you.
I know, but I'm saying your enemies do.
I don't care what my enemies say. I can't have a conversation with you while you're having a conversation with them. Does that make sense?
I understand. I just don't know why we don't embrace the terminology of our enemies.
Because it's not accurate.
Okay. So they're wrong.
Yes, they're wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with whatever policy you want to talk about or debate about.
Okay, well, the things that you said earlier was centrism, Trump. What were the other things?
I mostly talked about Biden and Trump and centrism.
Okay, well, what about?
I do stand by what I said about Trump not inciting election. Literally.
Well, that's not what he's being charged.
Incited a couple of ignoramuses is not a riot.
Oh, well, I would love to see any evidence for that. But until you can provide evidence of that, which you won't be able to, I don't think that you should bring up the insurrection or like inciting a riot stuff. If you want to talk about the things that he was actually charged with, we could do that.
Okay, we can talk about the things he's charged with. So why was he taken off the ballot?
That's not about what he was charged with. The 14th Amendment stuff, because according to the 14th Amendment, if you engage in insurrection, then you are ineligible as an officer of the United States to run for office.
But Trump most certainly did not engage in insurrection.
Well, that's why it's going to the Supreme Court right now.
Some feds egging on some ignoramuses.
Once again,
FBI.
Well, again, you're citing something that you have literally no basis.
I have absolute evidence for it, and the evidence against it is very thin. Like, I saw this dude, like,
okay, hold on. What is the evidence for it?
This guy on Twitch, he's a right-wing pundit. His name's, if you're feeling an interest on Twitch, he was telling me that, like, there were definitely feds at Gen 6, and they were egging on several ignoramuses to do it to frame Trump.
Okay, what was the evidence?
I mean, he was just saying that.
Okay, so he can just say that, and that's evidence enough for you, a Twitch streamer on the internet. Meanwhile, I've put in like enough hours into reading the indictments to know what exactly he has been charged with. I know at least a little bit about the 14th Amendment argument from the Colorado decision to understand what their argument is, but I mean, that's an open legal question.
How about this at the fact that on January 6th, a lot of the people there were pretty clearly mentally unstable, and you had police officers right next to the protesters. And so my theory is that a lot of those police officers may have egged on the protesters.
Do you have
and some of
any
them,
evidence of them egging on protesters?
yeah, I can link an article in the Discord if you want, but I'd have to pull it up real quick.
Yeah, if you want to find that, sure. Are you talking about them letting people into the Capitol or something like that? Or what do you
Let me
mean
just
by
pull it up
egging
real
on?
quick.
Yeah. Just like while you're pulling it up, what do you mean that they were egging them on? In what way?
It's kind of loaded terminology, but I just mean like clearly taking advantage of the situation in a way they shouldn't have.
How were the cops who were being like brutalized by
Let me
people
just
on the
please
front
pull up the
line?
article real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, pull up the article.
Okay, here it is. I just gotta click the link. Uh, so this is based on a CNN video, but no, it was a debate. Never mind. It was an article, but it was a debate between whether or not it was an inside job, and it had Ramaswamy in it. So here it is. I'll direct message it to you.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Do you see it?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Oh, a Breitbart article. Watch,
Yeah, but it
Ramaswamy.
links to CNN thing, so
Yeah.
it's
I'm about to watch the video. Ramaswamy, CNN's Abby Phillips spar over claim January 6th was an inside job.
We have here Riley Miller. He's a law student at Drake University and a
Okay, do we want to like go over this like together and like click play at the same time, or
you can watch and give me your thoughts.
okay, it's 9 minutes long. Are you cool with that?
Well,
I'll put it on
we can watch
1.5
it
speed.
together if you want, or we can end the call, or we can just
This is what I'll do. I'll share my screen with you. I'll mute. What?
No, we can just read the article though. It has a transcript.
Okay. Let's see here. Partial
So
transcript
Philip
as
says,
follows.
Speaking of those debates.
Let me ask you something about that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th. The next day, Capitol rioter Alan Hostetter highlighted your comments at his sentencing. He is going to prison for 11 years. Hostetter threatened members of Congress. He brought a hatchet, knives, pepper spray, stun batons, tactical gear to the U.S. Capitol. Are you concerned that a convicted felon like that is now promoting your comments in court? So here's my concern, Abby, and I want to tell you guys where I'm at. If you had told me, it's close to 3 years ago that January 6, 2021 happened. If you had told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech, I thought it said biatch, a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world, I was just consuming passive media, but was okay. If you had told me that January 6th was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that it was all crazy talk, fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is this. We do have a government, first of all. We have technology that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19. That hasn't been fucking proven at all. About the Hunter Biden laptop.
Is pretty obviously an inside thing with Fauci, but
there's been literally no evidence. It would be one of the
literally
biggest.
all the
If there was
evidence in the
any
world.
evidence of that anywhere at all, there would
And
be
wait, you don't think
our
the government has
foreign
done
governments.
conspiracies?
Foreign governments would be
You don't
all.
think the government has done conspiracies?
That's what. That's not a response to what I just said.
Okay, put Wuhan aside. The point Vivek is trying to make is that the government has engaged in conspiracies in general.
Yeah, but in
that's
order
just one
for you
example.
to prove that you can't say, "Oh, the government has done bad things in the past, therefore they are doing bad things now." You have to show that there is still bad things happen. There still has to be proof that it is continuing to happen.
Let's just read this transcript.
Okay, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we're told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise, I don't believe that's what they said. Before now, we know that before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list. The Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, that is not untrue. I guess depending on how you frame it. Now we come to January 6th. The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. Then they spar back and forth. You're saying that there were federal agents, but we should be able to talk about this. You're saying there were federal agents in the crowd. There's no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th. So why, before Congress would press on what the number was, they didn't say that there were none? They couldn't say how many there were? Okay, this line right here. When pressed on what the number was, they didn't say that there were none. Is that proof that there were?
Why would you be that shady and not answer if there weren't?
Because if you... Okay, so let's say there were federal agents out there. Okay, well, they wouldn't want to say that there were or weren't any, because if they said that there were, then all of those federal agents that are now in, like, that have been in deep cover for however many years or months or whatever, are now possibly going to be caught, right? If there weren't, hold on.
Names.
No, yes, because anyone, like, if they now know that there definitely were feds out there, then everyone in these organizations come under scrutiny from the organizations themselves. Yes, it does put them in danger. Does it mean that they're necessarily going to get caught? No, but it does mean that it shows that there were people out there, and that people are going to be way more, they're going to give more scrutiny to all the people that were at January 6th that were part of these groups. All right. If they said, if there weren't any and they say that there were none, then all of these people, any future people that came in after January 6th, now everyone post January 6th that joined from the FBI are going to be under scrutiny. All right. Like, this is, you never say whether there were or weren't, ever.
No,
does that make sense?
If there weren't, you should be honest about that. That's not a hard thing to be.
What if it puts agents in danger?
Saying there weren't shouldn't put agents in danger.
Okay, so let's say the 3%ers, they now know that there was no one in their ranks that was a Fed pre Jan 6th and on Jan 6th. Everyone that joins afterwards now is possibly going to be put under scrutiny for being a Fed, right? Because it's already been said under oath that no one there was, but anyone afterwards, well, now we know that before and during January 6th there weren't, but could there be now?
Loose reasoning.
No, this is literally the reasoning why you never comment on who is like how many undercover agents you have, whether like to disprove something or to prove something. You just keep it completely ambiguous always. This is what happens in the CIA. This is what happens in the FBI. This is what happens in local police departments when they're like trying to do drug busts. You cut them loose into there, and then you just pretend like they're not there at all. You never say whether they are there or aren't there because you don't want to compromise that investigation.
No, because what reason would you have to assume that if there were no feds on January 6th, that there would be feds after January 6th? It's like a stupid assumption.
Do you think that these groups didn't have even more scrutiny after January 6th from the federal government?
I'm sure they did, but that doesn't mean the federal government actually infiltrated them with agents that were being secret agents and spying and this and that.
I'm sorry, I must have not understood what you said. Say it again.
But just because there's more scrutiny after January 6th doesn't mean after January 6th there were actual. You should assume that there were actual agents or anything, or that they were infiltrating your organization.
It leads to an increased likelihood of a compromised investigation.
I mean, if you say there were no feds on January 6th, it's a fact, whether or not, like, it's just a fact or not a fact. It has a value of truth of 1 or 0, and that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if the answer is yes, then okay, fine. Don't say
If
say
they
yes.
wanted, if they wanted to know this, if they actually wanted and needed to know this, right? They could have done closed door hearings, but all of the hearings were open to being filmed and open to the public. So are you telling me that there, like, I don't know what your like point here is. I've already told you the completely reasonable explanation for why they would keep it ambiguous.
But I don't see a reason why, if you said that there were no feds on January 6th, why anybody in their right mind would assume that there were feds after January 6th. At least just make that assumption inherently.
Do you think that do you think that the feds had more reason before or after January 6th to infiltrate these organizations, these militia groups, with agents?
I don't know. Even before January 6th, there's still some pretty bad things that were going on. Not with January 6th, but just with like white supremacy in general. But like that's not
Right.
really in it. But I don't know. I really don't know if there would be more or less of a reason.
I would
even
say there's
before January 6th.
probably more of a reason if they
Okay,
didn't
yeah,
already
more of a
have them.
reason.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a reason.
Now, the onus is on you because this is ambiguous, right? This is an ambiguous thing. The onus is now on other people to prove that there were feds that were instigating the entirety of January 6th.
The
Is there
reason
any
because
is there
I don't see
any
why they wouldn't be honest about
evidence?
the fact that there weren't feds. If there were
You
no
are
feds.
pointing to a lack of evidence as evidence. Do you have any like positive evidence at all?
I mean, weren't there also like pretty clearly covered like guards there, but their faces were covered.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Weren't there clearly faces covered guards?
When you say guards, what do you mean?
Like people who were affiliated with the police, but had their faces covered. Like you couldn't see them clearly at all.
Is that? Yeah, there probably
And that
were.
is pretty suspicious because generally, when
Why?
you have someone that is clearly a government agent but being secretive about it by having their face covered, that is an indication.
I can think of two things, right? Well, three things. Number one, I don't think it's illegal for a cop, especially a riot cop, to
I
cover
never
their
said
fucking.
illegal, but suspicious.
No, it's not
Evidence.
suspicious at all. Because what happens when people take pictures of riot cops? They get posted on the internet, they get doxxed, et cetera, et cetera. We saw that all during BLM. We saw that somewhat during after January 6th. So there is a reason for riot cops to cover their face. Number two, it was fucking cold, and there were a lot of rioters that had their faces covered with the face warming things. Not all of them did.
It's pretty telling. The rioters and the quote unquote police, but maybe just Fed agents, or quote unquote rioters. Rather.
So your evidence of there being feds is that they wouldn't say whether there were or weren't feds. So the lack of evidence is evidence in and of itself. And then no, that is there is a lack. No, not necessarily. All right. Number two, your second piece of evidence is some of the police had face coverings, which doesn't show that there were feds embedded within the crowd. That shows that some of the police had face coverings. Can you give me one piece of positive evidence that there were feds instigating the crowd at January 6th? Huh?
You don't think that's evidence at all? Even 1% evidence that the police had their face covered?
No, that is actually, you're the first person I've ever heard say that, and I think it's one of the stupidest points I've ever heard. I do not think that there's anything I don't think that proves literally anything.
And do you have any evidence that Trump actually riled them on when he specifically condemned violence?
We can get into that. The entire point of his indictments weren't the inciting the riot at all.
It wasn't?
No.
I thought, no, not the indictment. I'm talking about why he was removed from the ballot. Like you said, that was the.
Oh, okay.
14th
Hold on.
Amendment thing,
The 14th Amendment thing. I don't have super strong opinions on that. Because it's an open legal question. It's going to go to the Supreme Court.
No, but I'm saying this proves the Democrats are dictatorial, that they would do just something like this without clear evidence that he even did incitement insurrection.
The 14th Amendment doesn't require a conviction or anything like that.
It's not conviction. I'm saying on a principled level, there's literally no evidence Trump incited an insurrection.
I think that there is plenty of evidence that if you're going to like sit there and tell people for months, even fucking years, that your elections are going to be stolen, then you got to tell people to go out and like fight like hell. You do nothing while you're sitting there and stewing.
He condemned violence. He said no violence, just protest.
And then do nothing but add fuel to the fire while there's already a fucking giant riot happening at the Capitol grounds by saying that Pence doesn't have the courage to do what needs to be done.
He did condemn violence. Do you not remember that?
Was that before or was it after? He told them all that they were very special little boys and that he loves them very much, but it's time for them to go home.
Yeah, I thought that was during the actual protest.
Yeah, when he was telling them to go home at like fucking 4 p.m. when the riot started at like 12:30 or some shit like that.
Yeah, but that clearly shows he disapproved of their actions and didn't support them.
Okay, if I give someone, or I let's say I set a knife on the ground in front of a crazy person, right? And I say, hey, that guy over there, he's looking at you really funny, right? I think he's been watching you for a long time, you know? I actually seen him like following you around, and he's been, you know, like writing down in a little notebook, right? But like, you know, like, you should go confront him and tell him that tell him that you don't like it that he's following you around, right? And then he goes over there, and then confrontation ensues, and then the crazy guy gets a knife and stabs the other guy, and I say, listen, I condemn this violent act completely. This guy should not have done the violent action.
Look, because a murder is one and done deal. This was done in the middle of the riot. This was done like to stop the riot.
How many hours after the riot started?
Like 3.
Okay, 3 hours after the riot happened, while there were people
we don't know
giving.
Trump even heard about the riot until 3 hours after.
No, we do know that Trump knew about the riot because it was all over the fucking news. It was there
Trump
were people. Hold
doesn't
on. There were multiple staffers and aides and other people in his.
How long Trump takes a shit? I'm sure
We have statements. Witness statements of people telling him that something needs to be done and him stewing in the fucking like situation room. He knew. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm so sorry. Are you telling me that Trump literally just didn't know that the Capitol riot was going on?
I mean, I think he did, but like I think it was like an hour after or so. I would give.
And so that gives 2 hours of him doing nothing.
Yeah, I think there's a 2-hour grace period because he wanted to phrase his words properly to appeal to his audience.
You know what his first phrasing was? His first like words that he decided to phrase? Pence does not have the backbone to go out and do what needs to be done. Pence has failed us.
That's not incitement.
I would say that. Well, actually, let me ask you this. What would it take for you? What would Trump have to say? Would he have to literally say, I want all of my fucking retarded people who I've convinced for the past 4 years that the entire government is against them, and I have convinced them that like Korean fucking bamboo ballots have come over and stolen the... No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if retarded offends you, all right? But you came in here and started... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ADHD. We're both neurodivergent. I can say retarded, okay? So they So all of my retarded fucking followers who I've convinced that bamboo ballots from fucking Korea have stolen their election, that the fucking Dominion voting machines who have successfully sued, by the way, for defamation, multiple fucking people, upwards of several billion dollars worth of lawsuits for defamation because of this, because there was literally zero evidence that anyone could provide for any of their fucking claims. They literally lied to all of these people. Right? Biased courts.
Yeah,
give me
biased
one
courts.
piece of evidence that they provided that shows that the Dominion voting machines flipped votes from Trump to Biden.
I never said that's true, but I don't think it's defamation.
So it's a biased court.
I just don't think it breaches the threshold for defamation, which is very high.
They said they ruined they tried to use Dominion's machines to say that they stole the election because Dominion was in league with the Democrats to overturn the 2020 election. You don't think that is defamation of that corporation?
Defamation is a very, at least on a legal civil level, in the sense of actually being liable for damages, is a very high threshold in America. And
yes, and it was a very high threshold, and they still won every single one, or the people settled.
I think that is a verdict I would disagree with.
Okay, so Trump can't say anything bar go out and kill Nancy Pelosi.
Yes, let me just speak.
There's nothing that even if the courts go through all of the evidence and there's a jury and all of that shit. It doesn't matter what happens. Everything that Trump's team does, all of the Fox News execs, all Fox News itself getting sued, Tucker Carlson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these people can lie, but because the courts ruled against them, it's obviously a biased court, even though they were unable to provide any evidence for any of the claims that they made.
No, we're getting sidetracked. That's the Dominion thing. Right now we're talking about the Trump insurrection.
Yeah, I'm talking about all the lies that he used in order to rile people up.
Real quick? Can I just please?
Yeah.
Please. Okay. So what I would say would be a threshold to insurrection that I would be fine with disqualifying Trump for in terms of the 14th Amendment, which that Colorado could have used if we live in this timeline, would be Trump saying something like, it is your duty as, I don't know, patriotic Americans, blah, 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 to go violently confront or do property damage against the Capitol during the counting of the election. That is actually an incitement, but just saying that, these people are liars or saying that these people are corrupt and the election was stolen, that's not actually saying you need to go violence. And so it definitely doesn't reach
well, the Supreme Court is gonna rule on that. That's what my position has been the entire time. I don't fucking know what the legal, I haven't read the majority opinion or the dissenting opinion. I haven't had time to go through the fucking 600 pages of that fucking document.
Okay. Well, so you.
So I'm kind of 50-50 on it.
But I still lean heavily towards the free speech side because I know what happens when you censor speech like that.
Okay, well then we're going to have to see what the Supreme Court says. The state Supreme Court of Colorado ruled in one way. It seems like even people that are against the ruling in Colorado, when they're trying to read the dissenting opinion, don't have much to say. It seems like the dissenting opinion was not very strong, but and I'm kind of 50-50 on it because I don't like the idea of just one state unilaterally deciding that someone's an insurrectionist, right? I feel like maybe a conviction might be necessary, but we'll just have to see what the Supreme Court says. I do not know the legal theory behind it.
Well, you want to talk about why I think the Dominion case was wrong? Or not, if not bias, at least a misjudgment.
You know what? No, because unless you're able to show that there was some reason for them to make these claims that is based in fact, that has some sort of positive proof.
Let me just speak, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the case of Dominion, so the tricky thing here is trying to recognize when something is actually just a stupid political opinion or stupid advocacy and when it actually crosses into defamation. And so the gray area here is, for example, if I say McDonald's, I don't know, McDonald's, well, no, that's probably a bad example. But the point here is, if Trump actually believed that the election was stolen because he is somewhat of he was an ignoramus, or he is an ignoramus, then even if Dominion lost money from that, and even if it was totally false, Trump would not be, on the civil level, I can't speak on the moral level, on a civil level, couldn't be liable to pay Dominion any money. In the same way that, like, if I lied and say that, I don't know, if you lie about a politician, just was not their sleazy person or not, like, unless you can prove that you were being malicious, maliciousness is a threshold you have to cross in order to be actually civil liable. In defamation cases, at least.
And there's plenty of documentation of people at Fox all saying that they knew that the Dominion Dominion stuff was bullshit. There was literally no evidence.
Dominion has a case against Fox, but not against Trump. But even in Fox's case, this is assuming Dominion actually didn't steal the election, which
there's literally no evidence for, and Fox News admitted in their internal emails amongst all of their fucking people.
That adventurous guy who's a Twitch streamer, he was playing a documentary which said that it was stolen. I think it had Alex Jones in it, although I don't remember. But yeah, no, I think
was it 2,000 Mules?
Yeah.
Yeah, the documentary that literally provides no tangible evidence of literally any of the claims.
No, I do think there was evidence because
there was literally no evidence, because if there was any evidence, then Fox News wouldn't have lost $1 billion lawsuit because of all of the internal emails that said that there is no evidence for this.
With the big tech companies to censor Trump and the Hunter Biden story, because Trump was going to say, "Here's all this corruption from Hunter Biden." And yet,
what does Dominion have to do with the Twitter files?
I think Dominion probably conspired with the tech.
Probably? Do you have any evidence that they tried to hide the Hunter Biden laptop?
Don't they get foreign parts from like Canada or something like that?
What?
I thought Dominion got foreign parts from like other countries. You don't think they're going to be biased for who gives them exports?
No, because it would ruin the entire credibility of their company.
Because they're not necessarily fully credible. Now, I'm not saying that 2020 election was stolen. I'm just saying, I'm just asking
you're asking questions that have answers. And all of the answers point towards there is no evidence of Dominion trying to subvert the 2020 election. There's literally not one piece of evidence. You're saying, oh, well, here's this thing. Don't you think that they might have bought microprocessors from Canada? Or don't you think that they might have imported plastic from China? Don't you think that that might mean that they were trying to subvert the election to increase their odds of getting President Biden elected? I don't know. Maybe. Do you have literally any proof of that whatsoever?
Well,
do you have any proof of Dominion?
Let me just speak. The logical proof.
I don't care about no. Don't give me logical proof. I want something that is tangible, that can link directly.
If you want supplies from a country, by definition, you're going to want to be favorable to that country. And if the people who are supplying you think, like in their country, like in China, that a different candidate will be more beneficial for their business, then they're going to want that candidate elected. And they're going to want to supply you so you can get that candidate elected.
That's a nice story, but what you lack is evidence. What you lack is anything that shows that they actually took the.
I'm just saying,
You're saying that there is no reason that Dominion should have won their lawsuit because there is a lack of evidence of them.
I'm saying there's some ambiguity.
There is no ambiguity. There's no ambiguity. You either have evidence or you don't have evidence.
There is some ambiguity.
There's no ambiguity.
The ambiguity is what the motivation of a foreign donor would be.
And there is more for them to lose. Here's the opposite logical argument. There is more for them to lose since we are one of the largest countries in the entire world with a voting system that uses Dominion systems, okay, or Dominion voting systems, right? That if they ever did anything on par with what you're talking about, which would be mind you, the largest conspiracy in human fucking history to steal the 2020 election, the election in our history that had the most eyes on it because of all of the COVID, the Trump stuff, all of the stuff attached to it, most eyes of any election in human fucking history, that they would risk being caught on that because of a 3% fucking increase or decrease in tariffs on China and Canada? They would risk their entire fucking corporation's livelihood on that? No fucking shot.
Okay, you do raise a good point, but the another thing is, I watched somewhere that the Minion actually they use electronic ballots, but the issue with the electronic ballots is you don't know which ones are going to be wired properly or not. So theoretically,
in the United States, all electronic ballots also print off a paper ballot.
But how do you know the electronic ballot system wasn't rigged at all?
How do you know that it was?
I'm just saying there's ambiguity.
There's no ambiguity because you have no proof for anything that you're saying. Just because yes, you do need proof to make the assertions that you're making.
For defamation lawsuits, any ambiguity is fine.
There's no ambiguity when they're saying that they were lying, that they had no evidence.
No, but the evidence is we don't know whether or not electric ballots were rigged or not.
If they wanted to make the statements that they made, they should have had the evidence before making those claims.
The evidence is the ambiguity.
There's just.
So you're saying there is no ambiguity without evidence?
There's no ambiguity. What is the okay? Maybe I'm misunderstanding you. The ambiguity here is what?
The ambiguity is whether or not the electronic ballots could have potentially been rigged. No,
That's not a question of ambiguity. That's a question. That's a statement that you are either going to have to show evidence for or not show evidence for. Ambiguity would be like the butterfly ballots in the 2000 election, right? Where this bubble, I can't tell if this bubble is supposed to be for Bush or for Gore. I can't really tell. I'm going to bubble this one. Oh, I accidentally voted for Bush instead of Gore. It was ambiguous which bubble was supposed to go for which candidate. That would be ambiguity. There's no ambiguity here.
So what about the fact that you don't think that there's evidence of mail-in ballots, but from people who may have been dead?
There's no evidence for that. That's not ambiguous. It's not a question of ambiguity.
There was no evidence for that?
There's no evidence that there was this widespread use of dead people's voter registrations to vote in the 2020 election that would have changed anything. Or number one, there's no evidence of it being widespread, and number two, there's no evidence that any amount of it that did happen would have changed the outcome of the election.
Okay, so then why did I hear some people claim that?
Because they were trying to create ambiguity in the election so that they could steal the election. You've literally fallen for the exact thing that Trump is being charged with, which is what? The conspiracy behind the scenes to defraud the American public.
I see. So the only reason they pushed this narrative was in bad faith in order to what's it called? Have the election taken for them in lawsuits, but there was no actual reason for them to do that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first part of the question? I was reading something.
In bad faith?
Yes, I'm saying that it was in bad faith. Because if it was in good faith, they would have been able to provide some amount of evidence that was able to change literally anything. But they have no evidence whatsoever. They never provided any evidence whatsoever that there was anything that would have changed the outcome of the election. They knew that they didn't have any evidence. They used the processes of the elections in different states to delay as much as possible so that they could concoct more legal theories. Like, I think that it was in Arizona. I might have the state wrong here, so fuck me. But
Wait, let me ask you this.
What?
One thing. How come in the past, I used to agree with you. There was absolutely no evidence the 2020 election was stolen. But then when I debated this adventurous guy, he said there absolutely is no evidence that there wasn't fraud. And I was absolutely wrong when I said there wasn't.
There's
I'm not. This
okay.
isn't
Let
Trump,
me ask you a question here. Can you
I'm
prove to
saying I
me?
got
Can you
steamrolled
prove?
when I argued your point?
No. Because you fell for a logical fallacy. Can you prove to me right now that you're not a federal agent?
Yeah.
How?
Because my opinions are well more extreme than the Fed. Like
Well, you could be lying.
No, my opinions are that I want to genocide the Palestinian people, but that's not something the State Department would be fine with.
You could be lying. You could be undercover, and so you're like incentivized and even mandated to lie about what your positions are. I still think you're a Fed.
That's like something you can't even prove.
Exactly. You're trying to prove a negative. You can't do that.
Okay, I understand. It's just I don't know why then, like he argued against me so strongly. Like he was saying that like there was absolutely no way it could have been stolen. Like he was saying, I was
Sorry, the
absolutely
last
wrong.
word. The last word
I
was
just
cut
don't
out.
know how he could have argued against me so firmly.
So because you were falling for logical fallacy traps, right? Like, can you prove a negative to me? That's why I said, can you prove to me that you're not a Fed? There is no way for you to prove that you're not a Fed because there's always some other thing that I could bring up. Oh, well, you're lying about your positions because obviously someone who is an undercover FBI informant would obviously be lying about what they actually believe, lying about everything about they would be lying, right? Like if I asked to like prove to me that you're not a federal agent. Oh, well, I don't have a FBI badge. Okay, well, you could have just hidden it, or they could have taken away your badge so that you didn't get caught. There's no way for you to disprove or to prove a negative, right? So the onus is on the person who is saying, prove to me that you're not a Fed. No, the onus is on you. You have to prove to me that I am a Fed. Show me any proof that you have that I am a Fed, right? In the same way, a non-falsifiable statement about the like, oh, well, there was election rigging that happened in the 2020 election. And we know this because of all of the questions that people have about the election. This is just like all roads lead to Rome fallacy, where it's like, okay, well, you can say that there was no election fraud, but why are there so many unanswered questions about the election? Well, that's because you're not, number one, you're not looking for any evidence, because any evidence that I do pull up right now that disproves your thing. Well, that's just one thing. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? You have to provide some positive evidence for your claims.
I'm listening now. So what you're saying is that Trump and Fox News and some of the people affiliated with Fox News were saying that the election was stolen and pointing to all these things that were not actually ambiguous, but stirring up a controversy where there wasn't one?
Yes.
And what do you think their motivation was? Because they're just ignoramuses? Because again, if they're just
No, because Trump wanted to stay in power.
What was that?
Because Trump wanted to stay in power.
But how do you know he just wasn't a fool?
Okay, there are two worlds that we live in.
Like
So really quick, there are two worlds that you just opened up. All right, it is either my statement. Trump wanted to stay in power. This explains literally every action that Donald Trump took from the beginning of the election season for 2020 until he was ousted from power, and then even beyond that, right? Or your version of events that Trump is just an ignoramus, in which case he is such a fucking retard that from fucking 2019, he was convinced that he was going to have the election stolen from him. No matter how many people came to him and said, listen, you're making all of these claims. There's literally no evidence of it. He still decided to believe it. This is the definition of a delusion, something that a fixed belief that cannot be changed by outside evidence, right? In which case, he's such a fucking delusional fucking retard that there's no reason why anyone should support him going forward. Those are the two worlds you've opened up. Which one do you want to choose?
I'll work with the idea that he's delusional. In the case of him,
It's literally the definition of a delusion, a fixed belief that cannot be changed.
I'm not arguing. Don't argue with that. What I am going to say to that, though, is if that's the case, that would still make him not like civilly liable. I don't think you can actually be sued for defamation unless you're malicious in America. In Europe or Israel or some other country or South America, I don't know. But in America, certainly the threshold is malicious intent, intentionally lying about someone. And certainly I don't think you can prove that, at least for Trump.
Why?
Because we don't have evidence that Trump doesn't believe what he says.
I think that reading the indictment for the January 6th case that he's going to court for with Jack Smith, I think that reading that, there is plenty of testimony and evidence referenced in that indictment that shows that yes, Donald Trump did know, and the people around him did know, that there was no reason to believe that the election was actually stolen.
Well, I mean, so the people around him knew, but you also have to remember, the people around Trump are, generally speaking, more capable than Trump. Because, for example, during do you remember that case where Trump, like, he said there's a hurricane and he literally drew like a circle on a map. Like, he predicted where a hurricane was going to go and he was obviously wrong, but he drew a circle on the map to make it look like he was right or something like that?
I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about here.
No, but I think that just shows that how incapable he is of dealing with the facts on the ground.
Then in that case, he should be removed from the ballot because he's mentally incapable of being the president.
Being a dumbass isn't a reason to be removed from a democracy.
Hold on, we're not talking about the 14th Amendment thing, okay? We're talking about the January 6th case. All right. I don't think that any reasonable person who is given all of the information that Trump was, who had every single person around him, all of his fucking family, all of his fucking staffers telling him, hey, you don't have evidence for this claim. And then the next day tweeting out or going on the campaign trail or at some rally saying the exact claim that people directly told him he had no evidence for. I don't think that any reasonable person would say, okay, he just didn't know, or he just, he truly believed in his heart of hearts that it was stolen. I think that at that point, you have to and also you have to look at the mens rea, right? The state of mind. I think that in the January 6th indictment, there were admissions from Trump that he knew that what he was doing was legally sketchy when it came to the stuff that he was asking Pence to do, that he didn't really necessarily care whether it was true or not, any of the claims that they were making in the several cases that they brought in the states, but they were trying to delay it as much as possible and create as much ambiguity as possible. There's enough evidence from testimony just in the indictment. We haven't even gotten to the trial yet. I don't even think that discovery is open to the public at this point. And yet, there's still enough out there to say, man, this motherfucker knew that he was lying, and he continued to lie, and even when his lies led people to get so fucking riled up that they felt like their democracy was about to end, and they stormed the fucking Capitol, he still took, by your own admission, 2 fucking hours to tell them that they were sweet little baby boys, that he loved them very much, and that they were very special, and that they needed to go home.
Okay,
There's just too much on the other side here.
Okay, so there are depositions of Trump, or not depositions, interviews or testimonies from Trump that he did recognize.
It's not testimony from Trump because you don't have to self-incriminate, right? So they've talked to all these people. They've gathered correspondence that he had with people like Pence, correspondence that he had with people not Steve Bannon. What's the William Barr, right?
Yeah. So
So
Steve Bannon and Barr said
I'm
that.
sorry,
Trump,
not Bannon. Their faces in my mind are similar, so I always confuse them. William Barr was telling him that it wasn't legal, that it wasn't appropriate, that it wasn't real. He still did it anyways, right? Trump seems to understand the legal sketchiness of everything that he's doing in his conversations and interactions with Pence.
Oh, I understand. So Pence testified that and Barr testified that he did understand it was legally ambiguous, but that doesn't prove whether or not he still thought he had a case. Like he may have understood it was a loose case, but he still thought at the end that he did have some level of evidence that he did, even if he didn't.
I don't think that there is any evidence that you could provide based off of what we have available to us. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there is something out there that like shows that Trump did genuinely believe, but it doesn't seem like any of that evidence has been provided by the Trump camp. And instead, their defense seems to come down to, well, he's the president. He can do what he wants.
Well, the president does have some discretion to do what he wants, right?
When it comes to overthrowing the election that he lost, no, I don't think he has discretion in that area.
But how the elections are run, for example, like
He does not know. He does not have any discretion on how states run their election. That's explicitly a power delegated to them.
He has the right to sue state governments if they change their voting laws and get a recount.
Yes, and guess what? He did. And guess what? He failed in almost every single one. I think he
failed.
Won.
That doesn't mean he didn't have a reason to believe what he was doing was correct.
Well, guess what? After you have exhausted all legal routes, you don't get to take illegal routes to try and subvert the election. I agree that everything that he did when it was like bringing cases to the states, he had every legal right in the world to do that. And that's totally fine. I have no problem with it. I laughed about it because it was like obvious that he was coping, but like he had every legal right to do that. But all the other stuff, like getting alternate slates of electors and trying to trick different states into sending those electors instead of their actually appointed ones, and then trying to delay those states from certifying their elections under wily fucking guises of we're about to give you the evidence. Oh, well, here's another lawsuit that's going to prevent you from certifying the election, and we'll eventually find the evidence that proves all of our claims, which they never did. I think that all of this would show that there is a clear bad faith attempt to hold on to power despite every legal route being kicked back to them, saying, sorry, either you don't have standing or the merits of the case are just like simply not there in order to even bring a lawsuit to the courts. Or if they did have standing and they had merit, but then they lost, even then, all of those failed. Do you get to, like, after you failed every legal challenge that you possibly have up to the Supreme Court ruling on shit, do you get to now break the law? Or do you have to say, my hands are tied, I have lost, I concede?
Yeah, I mean, if you literally lost every single legal route, you wouldn't have the right to actually commit a crime. I would agree with that.
Okay, well, that's where we're at right now. That's what the January 6th case on the conspiracy and all of that is.
But like, so when Trump communicates with electors, we don't know whether or not he he didn't tell them specifically like definitely if we know for a fact that you had these correct ballots, you have to switch it to the other ones, right?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that?
Like Trump, when he met with, because didn't he talk to the electors after the election?
I don't know if Trump personally communicated with the electors in any state. Off the top of my head, he might have, but it was.
I thought that was one of the allegations that Trump conspired to overthrow the election. That he talked to electoral college people to say like, no, you have to change it. I might be wrong. I thought.
Yeah. No, it's about like creating. Each state sends electors to the electoral college, right? They created their own electors that were fake to send to the electoral college for the certification of the election, and then they were going to use the fact that there were two slates of electors to throughout the entirety of that state so that Trump would win.
But how do we know he knew the electors were fake? Like, and let me phrase it like this: he may have thought that.
Because why did they know that it was fake? Because there was literally no evidence that there was anything wrong with the elections, or that he could have changed the results of the election.
Let me just say, on a mens rea level, I believe that Trump likely thought that a lot of the electoral college ballots from certain states were illegitimate, and that on a proportional level, he would have gotten more electoral college levels if there wasn't tomfoolery. So that's why he was trying to find some electors who would agree with him, but didn't realize that those were not actually.
What would it take? Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, I think the mens rea is there. He got together a team of people that create a legal theory or used a legal theory that they could possibly, subvert the election by doing like all the things that I said, use Pence to throw out entire states worth of electors so that Trump would eventually win, right? I think the mens rea is there, that he surrounded himself only with people that would agree with him, only people that were willing to go along with a heavily, heavily illegal conspiracy, that all the rest of these people are getting arrested or pleading guilty and flipping on Trump because they all know that it was wrong. He knew that it was wrong, which is why he either fired people that wouldn't go along with it or brought in people that would go along with it. I think at that point, if you're surrounding yourself with only people that will go along with an illegal act that people are telling you is an illegal act, at that point, I think you have mens rea to tell everyone, hey, this guy was trying to conspire to overthrow the fucking election.
So Trump, when he surrounded, when he tried to get fake electors moved in, he got lawyers who agreed with him or something like that, biased attorneys that were advising him on this?
Yes. Sidney Powell is the big one.
So Sidney Powell told him you have to send in fake electors? Because if that's the case, then that sounds like that's
no. She didn't say that. No. There was oh fuck. I get all these people's. It might have been Ken Cheeseborough. No, no. John Eastman was his was one of the people on his staff. He came up with a legal theory. Nobody else wanted to go along with it, or very few people wanted to go along with it. And then after he couldn't get enough people to go along with it, he started bringing in more lawyers and more legal teams that would help him try to overthrow the election. Even some of the people on those legal teams eventually bowed out because they didn't want to be implicated in a conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States.
Well, that's fucked up. I mean, I wouldn't support that, definitely. Sidney Powell, did she got disbarred, right?
I do think that she got disbarred earlier this year, or maybe last year.
Her advice to Trump was before she got disbarred?
Yes.
Well, so the complicated thing is, if a licensed attorney gives you advice to do something, generally there's more immunity for you and more liability on the attorney because the idea of deferring to experts. So in Trump's case, if someone like Powell has a JD, obviously you're going to.
They are not allowed to aid you in the pursuit of an illegal act. That is still on Trump. Sidney Powell didn't come up with the legal theory. Trump brought her on because she was willing to go along with the legal theory.
No, but I'm saying if Sidney Powell gives a thumbs up, we don't know if Trump would be liable in that case because,
again, Trump brought her on because she would go along with it, not because she came up with it.
No, but I'm saying after the fact.
Trump is the one that ordered them to do it.
No, but I'm saying there should have been some obligation on Sidney Powell to rebuke Trump at that point.
Yeah, which is why she is also criminally indicted in multiple fucking states.
No, but I think Sidney Powell, you could say that Trump's responsibility could be lifted off of his shoulders, or shifted onto her advisor.
No, they're both being criminally indicted because of their role in the conspiracy. Trump isn't. Listen, if you think that like Tron said in chat, are you free to rob a bank because you think they stole your money, and then you get a lawyer who's like tries to give you some sort of legal theory like, well, technically it's we can claim self-defense. You're like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go rob this bank. You're gonna tell them that it was self-defense because they stole money from me. Do you think that would hold up in court because the lawyer said that you could possibly use
comparison? Because in this case we have like robbing a bank is in and of itself illegal because there.
Do you think that overthrowing the government of the United States is illegal in and of itself?
Let me give. Okay, listen. What I was going to say is, in the case of robbing a bank because they stole your money, there are other legal means to do it, and the legal means would be suing that bank and explaining to them, like on a legal theory level, why you think they stole your money.
You're 100% right. I agree with you, which is why Trump was 100% within his legal rights to go through the courts and try to sue these states for recounts, for audits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to try and show that there was fraud or that there was some sort of impropriety. But unfortunately, he lost on all of those cases. And when you lose on all those cases, you don't get to say, well, fuck it, I'm still going to rob the bank because my
legal theory is whether or not certain electors were legitimate or not.
No, the legal theory had no. Hold on, really quick. It was not. Wait, no, you misunderstand. The legal theory wasn't whether or not the electors were legitimate or not. The legal theory was that we can create ambiguity and just throw out the states because the vice president can do whatever he wants because he's the president pro tempore.
I'm saying Sidney Powell is the one that's responsible for the bad legal advice, not Trump.
No. You're not listening to me. Sidney Powell did not give the legal advice. She was part of the legal team. It was I think it was John Eastman was the guy that came up with the legal theory.
Thumbs up is what I'm saying. The point I'm trying to say is she gave the thumbs up. And you can defer to experts in their fields. Like you can defer to a doctor when it comes to like whether or not you should exercise.
Okay, by that logic, what you're saying is you can still rob the bank as long as you can find some lawyer, despite all the other lawyers around you saying, no, there's no legal way to rob a bank. All right. There you find the one lawyer that will represent you in court and support you in robbing the bank. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I just don't know if it's a one-to-one comparison.
It is literally one-to-one because even in the caveat, like, well, it's not fair and it's not a fair comparison because there are other legal avenues in which you can try and get your money back. Yeah, there were also legal avenues in which Trump could have proven that he won in Georgia and won in Michigan and won in Pennsylvania and won in Arizona and Nevada and all these fucking states. Yeah, he did do all of that. But when he lost, he then concluded, well, I'm just going to hold on to power by any means necessary, and I'm going to do that with this legal theory that John Eastman cooked up. Say it again?
Because what adventurers told me, and this is his argument, is that when Trump sued for the recounts, all the different judges ruled against Trump in the election fraud cases because they were afraid that if they ruled in favor of Trump, a bunch of angry leftists would riot at their judges' houses.
That's a nice story. That's a nice story. But unfortunately, all of the cases on their face, they either did not have merit, meaning they didn't have anything that would show.
Let me speak. Adventurers told me they did have merit, but they were dismissed because the judges were afraid they would have been killed or rioted if they ruled in favor of Trump. And the evidence he gave was that during Roe v. Wade, all the conservative justices were threatened with their life and had their riots after Roe v. Wade and potential violence because of they ruled in favor of conservatives, and they were afraid that, if they ruled in favor of Trump as conservatives, that all leftists would have rioted and this and that.
So you're telling me that across the United States, in all of the hundreds, how many lawsuits were, what was it, like several hundred? How many lawsuits 2020 election? 62. 62. God, it felt like hundreds. 62 lawsuits. You're telling me that in 62 lawsuits, there were across the entire United States, all of these independent judges, many of whom were Trump appointees, were so scared that there was going to be a riot because of them hearing the case that they all just decided we're going to allow the election to be stolen. That's the argument that you're going to make right now.
The judges were scared that if they were in favor of Trump, why wouldn't there be a riot when there was a riot after Roe v. Wade was overturned? And
there was a riot after Donald Trump lied to everyone that he lost all of these lawsuits because of exactly the kind of fucking conspiracy that you are presenting right now, a story without evidence.
You don't think that if that courts did rule in favor of Trump, you don't think there would be any leftist rioting?
If you are able to provide me a single bit of evidence that the reason that they didn't listen...
answer to my question.
There might have been riots. That doesn't change what the law is, and it does not show that the judges were using that as a basis for why they didn't listen to the. If you have any evidence of that, I would love to see it. It's been 4 years almost, so I would love to see
that the judges were biased and corrupt because they were afraid of leftist rioting.
But you don't have any. But you don't have any evidence. You're just saying that they are biased and they are corrupt, even though they were Trump appointees
because of leftist rioting. Leftist rioting.
So your entire evidence, okay, so your entire evidence is it's like all judges are going to bend to the will of the masses, despite like any of the evidence to the contrary. Like, I mean, like we can look at all of the judgments that came out that would have pissed leftists off in the past couple of years. We can look at fucking Kyle Rittenhouse. It didn't scare them to do that. It didn't scare the Supreme Court to fucking overturn Roe v. Wade. It didn't scare like. In order for you to make this claim, you're going to have to prove that the judges improperly conducted these, I was about to say trials, throughout these cases because they were too scared of the fucking rioting of lefties.
Then why did Adventurous bring that up to me?
Because
I debated him on this.
So because you lost in a debate to some guy, you're going to listen to every Just So story that he gives you without evidence?
I'm just saying, why would he bring that argument up to me is what I'm
Because it's a good story for people that don't need evidence to change their beliefs.
I see, so he was just telling for a bad story?
He was giving you a Just So story.
Okay. So it was all just fucking nonsense.
Unless there's any evidence. I mean, like, I can back up literally every single claim that I am making right now by pointing towards evidence that is released in the indictments, by evidence that has been produced by the media, both left-wing and right-wing over the past 4 fucking years. I mean, we can look at all sorts of things that can corroborate every single fucking thing that I'm saying right now. However, in order for me to believe you, I have to throw out all available evidence from any source. And I have to believe a story that is based on zero evidence just because some judges are scared of lefties. Do you realize how fucking insane that is?
Yeah, when you phrase it like that, that's true. Just, I don't know. I guess I just have to reflect on my conversation, how I talk to people. Because when I hear stuff like that, like when I lose a debate, I feel like the other person's right.
The thing about debates is it's a combination of rhetorical skills and facts, right? So you can have zero facts but be an amazing rhetorician and win a debate with zero facts. Look at basically every single fucking Nick Fuentes debate, okay? That guy has zero fucking facts. It is all rhetoric, and it can seem like he's winning because he is very, very skillful at his rhetoric. He is very good at pulling out stories that sound nice, but require zero evidence or have zero evidence for the claim.
Okay, and so the bottom line is that because Trump relied on a very, very legally sketchy,
no, because his team concocted a legal theory in order to overturn the election. That is why he is in court.
So you're saying you don't think that you can rely on sketchy legal theories ever?
I mean, there's different levels of legal theory or sketchiness of legal theories that you can point towards, I guess. But like when it comes to overturning the election, no, I don't think that you should rely on sketchy legal theories to stay in power.
Let me give you another example. Theoretically, let's say a small business was sued and they rely on a very legally faulty case about whether or not they have liability because their employee, whatever, did something, and like on an objective level, it's a very bad case, but there is some legal, like there are some lawyers who would agree with that. Like, you don't think they could rely on that in court?
Here's the thing. Nobody agreed with Trump. These were people that were yes men for Trump.
Some people did. Very few, but some. Some people did.
Do you think? Okay, I'll engage with this, but I want to ask you this: do you think that it is a good thing that? Do you think that all of our hold on? Let me ask you this, because you're saying that it is okay for people to use unfounded or extremely sketchy legal theories in order to hold on to power. You think that that is okay? That we can subvert our entire electoral system?
Let me speak. You're speaking in very loaded language. Okay is a moral term. I don't like using that. On a legal level, it's not about what's okay or not. It's about liability or not. Whether or not something was okay is a moral judgment, and morals are not something like you can.
I don't think that it was. I don't think it was legal at all.
I'm saying some lawyers agree with him. I'm not saying.
No, it's not even that lawyers agreed with him. They weren't. Listen, they weren't trying to change the electors. They weren't trying to. They were trying to throw out entire states worth of electors so that they could just declare Trump the winner. It's not
You're not listening to anything I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I never said you were wrong. I'm just saying he has what to rely upon in the sense of not being liable, or his lawyers being liable, but not him, for malpractice. Because, like I said, if theoretically there's a court case where like a business or small business or an insurance company was being sued, or they were suing someone and they were using a very faulty legal theory, yeah. Are they objectively correct, or should they win in court? No, but like, does this mean you can hold them criminally accountable for malpractice? I don't think so.
I think yes, you can try to sue someone for criminal conspiracy to overturn an election using faulty legal theory, so that you can try and just usurp the entire United States government. Yes, I do think that should be illegal.
I just explained to you the legal theory. Like, do you not think it's ever acceptable to rely on shady lawyers or shady legal theories?
Not when it comes to the election process, no.
Then, okay, is there any example you could give me of when a very sketchy legal theory you'd be fine with saying you're not liable if you use it?
I could conceivably agree that there are some sketchy legal theories that could possibly, it would be interesting to see what would happen if they went to the Supreme Court. However, no, when it comes to overturning the election, no. When it comes to anything to try and remain in power forever, when it comes to unitary executive power, when it comes to anything like that, no. I'm going to say that all of that is not okay to use whatsoever and should be criminally investigated and brought into a court of law.
And these are all, I'm saying, these are all nice things to say, but unless you can give a specific example of where you'd be willing to just lend.
I would have to be given examples because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I'm not a lawyer either, which is why I would defer more to Sidney Powell than just saying that Trump's completely
a disbarred fucking lawyer who lost their.
I'm not okay. After the fact, she was disbarred. But I'm saying when she was barred,
she was disbarred because of this case.
I'm saying she was wrong or legally wrong, but I'm not saying I wouldn't say Trump didn't have.
She was so wrong. Hold on, she was so wrong
that in the legal field, legal pluralism. respect for other people's opinions, even if you think they're wrong.
This isn't an opinion. There is no legal backing for this. It was a cockamamie, fucking trumped up, fucking stupid legal theory that they came up with that has no basis in any legal standing in the United States whatsoever, so that they could try to overturn the election. There is no like questionable. Is it actually legal? Is it not? Is it not legal? They knew it was illegal, and they still tried to do it. That is what the January 6th indictment says.
I mean, yeah. So you don't think there's literally any example of like when there's cases like this where like a consensus of lawyers say no, you say you can't even say yes.
Hold on, you sound like you're talking from underwater. Say it again.
Sorry, I was gonna say you don't think there's a case where like if there's a lawyer who is a minority opinion, and all the lawyers disagree, or most of the lawyers disagree, but you can't rely on that because the consensus of the legal community disagrees with that. And what I'm saying is that's not how law works.
They
Law
weren't
is all
going
about-
through the courts.
Law is a pluralistic system where you have to
Yes,
accept
and you can
other-
challenge things in court. This wasn't in court. You recognize that, right?
This wasn't in court. I'm saying the advice was from a JD. The advice was from a lawyer, and a lawyer who was wrong, but a lawyer who had the ability to give legal advice to a client.
They
and
knew it
if
was
she
illegal.
Well, illegal according to the majority opinion, but she had the minority opinion, which was
Wait.
that it was legal.
Are you talking to me on the toilet?
No, I'm saying the majority opinion said no, it is illegal, and the minority opinion said it is legal. Well, you have to respect
I'm sorry.
the minority opinion in law.
Did I hear a
Because,
toilet
like,
flush,
in law,
guys?
for example, if most lawyers say, I don't know, it's illegal to sue this insurance company because of this, well, a minority opinion of lawyers could still say, well, here's why, and you can disagree with that.
This wasn't a challenge in court. If it was challenged in court, if they were trying to do
legal advice outside of court.
You cannot give legal advice for something that is illegal.
Illegal according to most opinions.
No, they knew it was illegal. That's why they're being criminal.
You did not believe that it was illegal.
Then why the fuck did she plead guilty in Georgia?
I know. Is a Georgia case when she was advising Trump about the electors?
Yes.
Okay, in the case of Georgia, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people who are not actually guilty plead guilty. I mean, like
so even a guilty plea isn't enough for you to say, okay, well, they knew that what they were doing was wrong.
I mean, you don't think Sidney Powell believes she had a legal opinion to rely upon? You don't think she?
Well, if she did, then maybe she should have fought that in the courts and tried to like make her case in the courts for why the racketeering case in Georgia was totally legal.
I mean, fair enough. She may have been a bad faith actor, but I'm saying at the end of the day, the advice she gave was still within the framework of
No, it wasn't.
Debate.
That's why they were criminally fucking indicted.
So you're saying there's certain legal
They did it
advice,
in bad faith. They knew it was
So you're saying
illegal.
there's certain legal advice that JD gives that you can't listen to no matter
Yes. If a lawyer tells you that you can rob a bank, just because a JD is telling you does not mean that you get away with robbing the bank because a JD told you to.
Oh, okay. So, like, but that's a case where, by definition, it's illegal because, by definition, robbery is
By
illegal theft.
definition, trying to upend the entire electoral system of the United States is illegal. Yes.
And so Sidney Powell didn't have
advised a way that they could try to usurp the government of the United States. Yes, knowing that it was illegal.
Oh, okay. So she had no legal basis for what she claimed?
There is no legal basis for the claims that they made in any of the 62 lawsuits or for the January 6th fucking Pence thing.
Okay.
There's zero legal basis for it. They created a legal theory that they might be able to get away with something, but they knew that what they were doing was wrong. That is why so many people were indicted alongside Donald Trump for the January 6th case.
Well, you can indict a ham sandwich, right?
No. Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
Not literally a ham sandwich is an example, but like the point of the joke is that like indictment is a lot easier than conviction. Like when a prosecutor says, like,
Oh, sure.
"I'm gonna indict
Getting
you,"
an indictment is easier than getting a conviction. I won't disagree with you on that. No one should disagree with you on that.
so
But
like,
the
fact that
people the people who looked at the evidence in the grand jury for the indictment thought there was enough there to be brought to court. Then the indictment was released with enough evidence for us to like see why they were being brought to court. Now we're going to get a whole bunch of stuff in discovery. Hopefully that will be public, that we'll be able to see how much they knew was illegal. But the indictment itself that is released to the public says they knew it was illegal and they still went along with it. Wait, what's the exact? 1 second. There's a specific line that they repeat over and over and over. Jan 6th, Trump indictment. Fucking paywall. 1 second. These claims were false, and the defendant knew that they were false.
So is this Sidney Powell? Or
This
Trump?
is the defendant, Donald J. Trump.
Okay. So in Trump, I mean, Trump.
Here,
I'm
I'll
saying
read it
Trump
to you,
got-
okay? I'll read it to you. Despite having lost, the defendant was determined to remain in power. So for more than 2 months following the election day on November 3rd, 2020, the defendant spread lies that there had been outcome determinative fraud in the election that he had actually won. These claims were false, and the defendant knew that they were false. But the defendant repeated and widely disseminated them anyway to make his knowingly false claims appear legitimate, create an intense national atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and erode public faith in the administration of the election. The defendant had a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and even to claim falsely that there had been outcome determinative fraud during the election that he had won. He was also entitled to formally challenge the results of the election through lawful and appropriate means, such as by seeking recounts or audits of the popular vote in states or filing lawsuits challenging ballots and procedures. Indeed, in many cases, the defendant did pursue these methods of contesting the election results. His efforts to change the outcome in any state through recounts, audits, or legal challenges were uniformly unsuccessful. Shortly after Election Day, the defendant also pursued unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. In so doing, the defendant perpetrated three criminal conspiracies. A conspiracy to defraud the United States by using dishonesty, fraud, and deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful federal government function by which the results of the presidential election are collected, counted, and certified by the federal government. A conspiracy to basically the same thing, and then a conspiracy against the right to vote and to have one's vote counted in violation of that law. Each of these conspiracies, which built on the widespread mistrust the defendant was creating through pervasive and destabilizing lies about election fraud, targeted a bedrock function of the United States federal government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
So the point here being that when Trump obstructed like the proper method of counting the electoral ballots by throwing out slates of electors that he didn't disagreed with, he intentionally like knew he was wrong and that
Yes.
these were but his motivation was
To stay in power.
To stay in power, but on the legal theory presented to him by his private attorneys.
Okay, I'm going to repeat this as simply as I can. You cannot use the advice of a lawyer to try to break the law.
Okay. So but then how do you know what the law is? Because lawyers create the law.
You challenge it in court or you change the law.
Lawyers kind of create law.
No.
Lawyers don't create law. We live in a common law, or not common.
not civil law, a common law system, which is based largely on precedent of other attorneys giving advice.
That's
and
not
creating legal theories.
creating laws. That's adding. That's like.
I'm not talking about
Okay, so no, hold on.
laws.
Okay, say it again.
I'm not talking about legislating laws. By creating law, I mean creating how we interpret laws.
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's more accurate, right? But in order for us to do that, guess what? It has to go through the courts, not create a conspiracy that you know is illegal in order to unilaterally decide who wins the election.
Okay, so in Trump's case, because of the fact that he had already sued, he didn't have a right to sue again, or
He had no more legal recourse. And so they tried to pretend that they had more legal recourse by throwing out slates of electors to declare and crown Trump as the president through unlawful means.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, actually. I wasn't, to be honest, before this debate, I actually wasn't that familiar with the Trump case other than what Adventures told me.
You should read the justice.gov United States versus Donald Trump indictment.
It's also the DOJ, so we don't know, like, they're literally feds. So, I mean, like, DOJ is the federal department under
This
the
is a special counsel that is not directly overseen.
I thought the Democrats and Biden.
Isn't Jack Smith a fucking Republican?
Jack Smith is. But the DOJ.gov specifically, we don't know if that's biased or not, or
The justice.gov is literally, there is no spin.
Like one time, like when I tried,
it's just the indictment.
Like one time when I let me speak. One time when I argued with Adventures on whether or not like something was healthy or not, like when I pointed to the CDC, he said, no, the CDC.gov, it's a .gov, it's a feds.
So he has no evidence. He has no evidence besides the fact that they're the feds, and therefore everything they say is lies.
Well, it was the CDC.gov, not DOJ.gov. But that, like
yeah,
he said,
you can't just discount the source because you don't like the source.
That is what Adventures did when I.
Yeah, but well, obviously this Adventures guy is a fucking retard who has like clouded your ability. He's clouded your ability to understand how to like look at evidence. Oh, well, that's a .gov website, so I'm not going to look at it. Instead, let me just link you this fucking Breitbart article like you did earlier. Breitbart, one of the most unbelievably skewed and biased sources I've literally ever heard of.
Breitbart is honest about their bias, though. You know?
Does that make it better? If you're trying to give me evidence of something and then you give me an insanely biased source.
Yeah, Breitbart is honest about their source bias.
Yeah, they're extreme bias and also low factual rating. I'm pretty sure if I go to like media bias fact check.
He also likes to link louderwithcrowder.com.
Yeah, also another fucking retard. Okay. Let's go to media bias fact check. I'm pulling this up on stream. Breitbart. Bias and credibility.
I mean, he
extreme right-wing bias and mixed factual reporting. Questionable source. Overall, we rate Breitbart questionable based on extreme right-wing bias, the publication of conspiracy theories and propaganda, as well as numerous false claims. Credibility rating, low credibility.
Okay. The Breitbart, generally speaking, has more mixed or not the best factuality. Like in terms of like if you compare Breitbart to like an objective on the facts of the ground situation, they're probably going to get it like not 100% right.
Or outright lie.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between having a mixed rating and like always outright lying, like
as
like
well as numerous false claims.
I mean, not completely right, but I mean, somewhat.
Say it again.
Okay, so yeah, let's put that aside. I'm just saying, like, you know, this adventurous guy really influenced me in my journey to the right. Like, when I went from like
But do you
moderate libertarian
recognize?
to
Yeah, I
far
know.
right.
But do you recognize that the reason that he has been able to do that is because he's given you so many nice sounding stories, but like every single thing that you've brought up that he's like argued, I've been able to like argue against in like 2 seconds because I actually look at facts and don't just give you a story. I can actually back up literally every statement that I say with.
Like, he's not really a debate streamer. He's only debated like once.
It doesn't
or
matter if
like,
he's a debate
have you ever
streamer or
heard of
not.
this guy named Gorpsink?
Who?
This guy named Gorpsink, Gorpsink.
Never heard of him.
Well, not or she is a trans person on Twitch, but like a conservative libertarian.
Never heard of him.
Well, I saw him debate him once or them once, because on the Trump election thing. But like other than that, he doesn't do debates. It's just he's very, very, very obviously right wing, and like when you in chat and you disagree with him, he gives you shit for it. And like,
Is it actual evidence, or is it more things like saying, oh well, you know, like what was the first claim that like I completely showed you that it was completely false what he said? What was the first thing?
Judges are biased because of the riots.
Yeah, there's like literally no evidence for that, but it sounds nice and it kind of plays into your pre-existing biases.
I'm saying, even when I argued against that, he just doubled down on it.
So if he doubles down on retarded statements, you're going to be like, okay, well, it's a retarded statement, but like he seems really confident in it.
I mean,
you see, like why it's really difficult to like I'm at a disadvantage against people like him because like I'm not like 1,000,000% confident in everything that I say because I always know that there's some piece of evidence that could come out that would either completely disprove what I've been saying or something that I believe is completely false, right? I know this, but I'm honest about that. People like him are not honest. There is nothing that could change his mind because again, non-falsifiable statements and fucking just so stories and all roads lead to Rome fallacies. Where like no matter what we say, it's always going to be the feds are bad, the feds are bad, the feds are bad. They're screwing Donald Trump. They're screwing Donald Trump. Oh my God, he's so poor and put upon. He's just been bullied this entire time. Poor Trump. Like fuck. I mean, has he had it rough? Yeah, but those are due to his own fucking actions. Okay. And that doesn't give him license to do any of the things that he has done. But if there's one person who is saying all of these things very confidently about how mean they are to Trump and what Trump's mental state would be because he's so poor and put upon and all of these things.
He actually does believe the election was stolen.
With no evidence.
He also said that
mind
like,
you.
the vaccines were clot shots and this and that and how they're like killing people and so definitely more to the right.
Yeah. And yet, like, we're 4 years removed from the fucking vaccine, or 3 years removed from the vaccine, and we haven't seen this math.
No, he did say that the clot shot, when it goes into your veins, it like kills you or whatever. No, not kill you, but can break your cells or something like that. I forgot exactly what his claim was.
And yet, there's no evidence that anything has happened. That the Republican, I know, but these narratives.
I used to be pro-vaccine, but he did say.
I think that's a really good litmus test when someone tells you that the vaccine is like this horrible fucking deadly thing.
Let me speak. I'll just tell you my experience because my experience was I was pro-vaccine. And I said like, well, I was against the mandate because I was a libertarian, and I am a libertarian on that. I'm a civil libertarian on bodily autonomy. But like when I still said I still think you should get the vaccine, he said your clot shot. And he just said no, you're obviously wrong in that, or you obviously got this wrong. And yeah.
Does he ever like give you evidence?
He's given me reasons about how it goes.
Reasons, but not evidence.
Obviously, killing your veins, and there's no evidence at all that it's good for you, and it only kills your veins. But I'm saying the way he speaks is very confident, and like really is hard to argue against for me.
Yeah, and this is something that I had to learn very early on in my streaming career. That like just because someone is very rhetorically effective does not mean that they are right.
Then like what makes a rhetorician if it's not correctness? Because like I don't know who to listen to at this point then.
What you need is to learn how to have a better thought process. Not just, who do I listen to? You have to have a thought process that is better. What is the evidence for this? What is the evidence against this? Is there any evidence? What are the sources of the evidence? Et cetera, et cetera. And I can't teach that to you right now because there's too many caveats and, essentially, the thought process is basically a high premium on evidence and a low amount of premium on rhetoric. But you have to train yourself against that.
I understand. And what and in the case, so if you want to circle back to Trump, so originally we're talking about not the defamation case, but more and not even the elections case. We're talking about him being brought up the ballot in Colorado or something like that, or now Maine, I believe, also did.
Yeah, they did they did it through a different means, but yeah.
Yeah, and so, but the issue there is until we have rock solid evidence of Trump being convicted, to take him off the ballot, I do think is an affront on democracy and is bad because we don't. If he's convicted, that's one thing, but you can still run for president even after convicted of a crime and gone to jail.
That's true.
So
unless you were involved in insurrectionary action, but the 14th Amendment, the wording of it does not require any kind of conviction.
Yeah, but the spirit of the law does have the notion of due process.
I don't even think in the spirit. This is the problem with the 14th Amendment. I don't think even in the spirit of the law you require conviction, because in the time that they wrote that, they were talking about not allowing people who were Confederates who were originally elected under the U.S. and then turned against the United States. They didn't want them to run again, but they weren't going to try all these people in court for insurrection. They just said if you did insurrection, if you were part of an insurrection, or if you conducted an insurrection in defiance of the United States as an officer of the United States, then you are necessarily no longer,
Yeah, but there should be some objective criteria for determining that, and I think without having due process.
Well, that's what the Supreme Court. Well, right now, everything as it has been done, as far as I understand, is totally legal, but that's for the Supreme Court to decide. If they want to change that to where you need a conviction, you know what? I don't know if I'm necessarily against that. But
in the spirit of democracy, I do think you need a conviction, even if not.
I think in the spirit of democracy, if there is someone who is undemocratic trying to run in your elections, they probably shouldn't be able to run. But Trump is still able to run. He is anti-democratic.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you think democracy is a good thing inherently?
Inherently, because we're winding down, I'm just going to say yes. There's problems with democracy. There's a famous saying like democracy is the worst form of government except for all the rest of them. So,
okay. And do you think that you don't think that there are issues to the right where you would be the right of Biden?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
actually, right of Biden, I don't know.
Immediately pumping trillions of the Fed Reserve pumping billions of dollars to spend money right after, especially during a time with unemployment. You don't think that was inflation, or we could have a more limited response?
There were inflationary pressures there.
No,
wait, hold on. Do you think that it is? Hold on. I just need to ask you. Hold on, really quick. It is not against the law.
I never said against the law. Okay. I said what's a good policy or not. I think objectively speaking, it would have been a better policy if we sent less policy after.
Is creating inflationary pressure always a negative thing?
To the extent that it happened, yes. You can disagree with me.
Well, hold on. I don't necessarily disagree with you. If Biden was the sole cause of all of the inflation, but unfortunately,
not the sole cause, but a large portion of it.
I would love to see any evidence for that
And like,
because
this is a
really quick,
claim.
no, it's not
obvious.
It's not obvious. No, hold on. It's not obvious because we were able to bring down our inflationary pressures faster than the rest of the world under Biden, even though we had all these trillions of dollars spent.
That doesn't change the fact we're still higher inflation relative to before 2023, and some of that was Biden. If you
Wait,
can't
relative
say
to
anything else is Biden,
2023?
you're not a good faith actor. I'm not talking.
Wait, hold on. I need you to like clarify what you just said. You said we have a higher.
You don't think any of the trillions of dollars that the Biden administration did spend had an effect on?
No, I said that. I said that they did. However,
I'm saying I disagree with that. That's it.
That you disagree that it added inflationary pressure?
No, I disagree. That was a good move overall.
Okay.
Like, if I was the president, I would not have done that policy.
Okay, and why are you saying this? What was the relevance? Sorry,
The
I might have missed something.
relevancy is, I think you need to be harder on criticizing the left-wing policies. And
Well, see,
more
this is just a policy disagreement here, not an ideological one. I agree with the policies that Biden put out.
And I explained why I disagree. I already explained.
But you do it. You seem to disagree for ideological reasons.
Not ideological reasons.
Well, the reason why I say that is because you said I need to be more critical of left-wing economics. But this isn't just left-wing economics.
That is left-wing economics.
Is it? No, it's not necessarily left-wing economics to invest in infrastructure or to
infrastructure, you fucking subhuman retard.
What? I'm sorry. How many trillions of dollars were in the infrastructure bill?
I'm not talking. Well, I do think the infrastructure bill was bad.
You said,
and I've sent you.
Which policy you're fucking? You don't get to call me a fucking retard after talking about spending trillions of dollars. And when I bring up the fucking the fucking infrastructure bill, you don't get to call me a fucking retard after that because it was several $1 trillion in the fucking infrastructure bill. Okay?
Yeah, I sent you videos why the infrastructure videos were bad numerous times.
Yeah, and I disagree with those fucking videos.
Yeah, and you were wrong. I'm saying you were wrong.
On which part?
I can't give you every single specific policy. I can't do your homework for you. This is what you don't understand.
You don't even know which part of it I agree with, or why I agree with it. But you're just saying that I'm wrong.
You agreed with investing more money, for example, in the green energy bill.
In the Inflation Reduction Act?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And I've sent you videos, numerous videos, on why that's bad.
Yeah, and then I gave reasonings for why I think that's so good.
I'm saying you're wrong. That's what you don't understand.
Cool.
I cannot do your homework for you.
You obviously you don't have to because you're not doing any fucking homework because you're fucking citing a guy whose only skill is fucking rhetoric. And when I fucking give you all,
talking about?
Whoever the fucking dude is that I said was all rhetoric and no fucking facts. And then when I show you the fact that I did do fucking homework, right? I do know more about the fucking January 6th stuff. I do know more about the Trump indictments. I do know more about many of these topics. Then you're going to say that you're not going to do my fucking homework for me? What the fuck are you talking about?
I gave you the Yoren Brook video numerous,
just because Yoren Brooks says something doesn't mean that it's 100% true or 100% the only lens by which we can look at things.
On this specific economic issue,
we just disagree. Right. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
There are opinions that are wrong.
It's not a fact. It's not a matter of opinion. It's about. It's a matter of fuck. What's the priorities? I think that one thing is a really good thing to prioritize, like having some amount of ability to create. No, because you've been speaking. I'm going to give you why I think that the Green Energy Bill, the fucking Inflation Reduction Act, and the fucking CHIPS Act, and all these things. I've let you speak a lot, okay? But like the idea that because he doesn't want to prioritize like things that are in the CHIPS Act, but I do want to prioritize those things, does that mean that I'm wrong and he is right? It means that we have a different set of priorities. That doesn't mean that either of us are necessarily wrong. Do you recognize that?
I think anybody who doesn't recognize the harm of inflationary spending is a bad faith actor.
Except for the fact that we all recognize that inflationary pressures are bad, but we can mitigate those things and still have the good things that come from big government spending.
but we cannot mitigate them.
Except for the fact that we did, and we have a much
No, we
lower.
are still at a much higher inflation rate than before Biden got into office, even during the latest
We are
years
at a
of-
lower inflationary rate than any of the other major fucking economies around the fucking world. Why? Because of things that we have done to try to.
in spite of Biden's spending.
Because of. Okay, so why? Okay, so if it's in spite of all the spending, then why is it that we were able to lower our inflationary rate faster than anybody else?
Because of the fact that America is one of the largest countries on earth, and in the case of America, one of the things that keeps inflation high, generally speaking, is the fact like when you don't have low skilled workers. So in the case of America, because our wages are disproportionately lower than other countries, you can keep prices down when you have lower wages, and America has lower wages relative to most other countries. At least, in terms of the value of a wage.
Wages have risen.
No, I'm saying, if you compare the value of a wage in America to a value in a wage in other parts of the world, it's going to be lower in America. I mean, just
okay.
So I'm saying that is one reason why, for example, there's less chance of inflation being an issue in America than other countries, because value of wages.
And you think that because relative to like Norway or Sweden or something or someplace
forget Norway, Sweden.
I was just trying to think of a place that has high wages. Okay, I'm not trying to fucking like straw man you or do anything like that. I'm just trying to think of like the places that have the highest wages. All right, do you want me to say fucking Germany? Like what the fuck?
Wherever you want.
Okay, Norway, Sweden, Germany, all right? Because we have lower wages than Norway, Sweden, or Germany. That accounts for the rapid de-escalation of fucking inflationary forces in this country by itself.
Generally speaking, you'll have lower prices with lower wages.
That doesn't explain anything that I just said, because inflationary pressures are still going to raise the prices of things because there is more money in the system. The velocity of money is too high. There's too much money burning through the system. It is too hot.
But inflation isn't just how much money is in the system. You also have to remember that prices are also depending on things like the value of a wage and other things. Like
supply and demand.
Yeah, but supply and demand even then isn't, because you also have to take into account population growth. I'm saying there are different factors that you're forgetting here. It's not as simple.
There's nothing that I'm forgetting. It's just that what you're saying is not explanatory for what you're claiming.
What I'm trying to say is, I believe the predominant reason why America was less affected by high prices, which is generally what we call inflation, even after we spend a lot of money compared to other countries, was because we didn't have a steady high value wage increase like other countries generally do.
Is it true or is it false that wages have risen since Biden has been in office?
Slightly.
Okay. So, despite wages increasing, our low wages have caused all of our inflationary pressures to go away, to dissipate. Does this not mean that they knew what they were doing? Like, even by that logic, which I disagree with, but isn't it even by that logic, the policies that Biden put in place still fine? Because they would have taken that into account and known that like our wages are lower, so therefore we can afford to spend this much more money that was necessary, especially for the infrastructure bill, which every president since I was born in fucking 1995 has been trying to pass.
No, well, yeah. I mean, if that money would have been spent in a way that would have been more value for the investment than not, I mean,
do you have any evidence that they haven't?
Are you going to let me speak or just
sure? Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I would still disagree with it on like personal libertarian reasons, which are more ideological. Which, by the way, ideology is still important even beyond empirical facts. Like if you don't think there are any,
no, I'm sorry, I super disagree with what you're saying here. I do not subscribe hardcore. I am not sold. I'm not going to like fucking pit my entire reputation on an ideology because that's so important. Ideology is super unimportant. What is most important is to look
I
at
disagree
facts.
with you on that, but I don't have a time to debate you on philosophy right now. But even on an empirical level, I believe that as a general rule, if you have like a situation where you're recovering from a pandemic and you already have a lot of unemployment, the way to deal with the unemployment is not just giving a lot of people money so they can spend, right? That's one way to do it. But another thing that I think Biden should have done would be like even if you're just going on a utilitarian ground, would be instead of subsidizing, say, unemployment benefits, so more people would stay unemployed and out of workforce, in increasing workforce participation without having to just increasing workforce participation would by definition mean more people producing goods, and more production, more supply. Demand should increase proportionally
What
to
are
that.
two ways that you can increase workforce participation?
Cutting unemployment benefits.
I don't know if that necessarily one-to-one correlates with increasing
You don't
workforce
think there's a correlation
participation.
between cutting or lowering unemployment benefits?
No, because
and
in many states, unemployment benefits are contingent on you searching for a job. You can't just live off of unemployment forever. You have to prove, like in my state of Texas, you have to prove that you are actively looking for a job in order to get unemployment benefits.
What? So
Yes.
that's. I thought in a lot of states, you could get unemployment benefits not contingent on whether or not you actually could work or not, but just because you are unemployed.
No.
I've
And also,
never
you
heard
can't get unemployment benefits if you quit your job. You have to be
Not
fired
quit.
from your job.
But I'm saying you could say, for example, you apply for government benefits and you say, my job is, I can't work because I have to work too many shifts because of COVID. I mean, that you can say theoretically your job's making you uncomfortable.
I don't think that you would be able to stay on unemployment. At least, I mean, like, I don't know every single state's laws on this. I'm sure that in some liberal states it might be a little bit more lenient, and
that's
conservative. Well, hold on. And in conservative states, it's going to be more strict. But that doesn't mean that you can into infinity. I mean, fuck, if I could just go on unemployment and then be a streamer and never fucking have to go to and get an actual fucking W-2 at a fucking job, then fucking sign me the fuck up. But I don't think that's the way it works in fucking any state ever.
Okay, so there's but you also have to take into account that federal unemployment benefits not the same as state unemployment benefits. So after COVID, there were in the CARES Act, which was signed by Trump, but Biden extended most of these unemployment benefits in not just the Inflation Reduction Act, but different other COVID-related bills that Biden did, not just Trump. And I'll give some blame to Trump. I don't think Trump is perfect, right? Trump is,
I think, yeah, sure. I won't even necessarily disagree that unemployment, if you have unemployment benefits that are not contingent on anything, I'm agreeing with you.
On actual checks and less on unemployment or PPP loans, this way people would work, but they wouldn't just, there wouldn't be an incentive.
What do you mean PPP loans? Those were to businesses so that they could continue to keep people employed.
The PPP loans were good. I'm saying better than the unemployment.
Okay. Got you.
So I'm saying we should have had more PPP loans or more checks, but less unemployment benefits.
I think that in extraordinary situations like a pandemic where we're trying to figure out how bad it is, how contagious it is, how deadly it is, unemployment benefits in that situation are probably fine. Especially when hold on, really quick. I'm almost done. I let you mostly finish. Okay. I'm just gonna say, number one, most of the people that were getting those unemployment benefits were not people who were just not wanting to work. It was because their jobs either went away or because they had to do layoffs as a result of the decline in the economy. All right. So those would be legitimate uses of unemployment insurance.
Yes, you're saying literally okay. And by the time Biden got into office, though, a lot of
There were
people had
still a
already
lot of
forgotten about
jobs.
COVID.
A lot of jobs
Just
were still
please
not
let me
back.
speak because you're not okay.
You're not
Just
understanding the facts on the ground. You're like on a factual basis incorrect. People couldn't just
but I'm
go
saying
back
you're
to
wrong
work.
and you're not letting
No,
me speak.
no, because you're not understanding. There were not jobs for them to go back to at the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency.
You just let me speak and not interrupt me.
Unless you say
Like,
something that's just like factually incorrect and then you ramble on based off of that incorrect fact. Sure, go for it.
so during the beginning of Joe Biden's administration, there were a lot of people who couldn't work because of COVID, but I'm saying there were solutions to that, like lowering interest rates initially. But I think the specific extension of unemployment benefits that Biden did, even were bad because there were still a lot of jobs, not all, of course, but a lot of not say medium or larger businesses that would have been willing to absorb more people into their employment systems that didn't because they a lot of people were just using unemployment benefits and having no reason to search work. Am I saying every single individual that took unemployment benefits was like this? No, I'm saying a large enough proportion were to have justified lowering unemployment benefits, or at least not extending them like they did.
Okay, you're saying that at the beginning of Biden's presidency, they should have
If
lowered.
you can't concede a single thing I'm saying, then
No, I'm trying to ask you. I'm trying to because I can't concede something if it's not based in reality. You wanted them to lower the interest rate at the beginning of Biden's presidency?
Yeah.
It was less than 2%.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I meant did the policy they did, which was lower the interest rate. I was saying Biden's policy, that policy specifically, I wouldn't have blamed for most of a lot of the inflation.
Okay, they
I was saying
didn't.
specifically they shouldn't have extended
They increased the interest rate to lower inflation, which is what you do.
No, to
That's
lower
what
unemployment.
To lower unemployment.
You're not listening to me.
I guess I'm just not understanding. So you're saying that they should have kept the interest rate low. I'm asking to clarify your position. You're saying that
listen instead of speak.
No, because I have to understand what your point was. Your point is. Oh my fucking god! I'm just tell me if I understand you correctly. All right, you're saying that Biden should have kept the interest rate below 2% in order to increase the amount of jobs?
No. I think that no.
Okay. Continue.
I think the specific policy Biden did of lowering interest rates did help with unemployment in the sense that more businesses could get cheaper loans without interest, right? And that helped increase employment temporarily. But I'm saying a lot of people, even on the right, blame that for inflation, and I wouldn't say that's the main cause of inflation.
Okay, really quick. You're on a factual basis.
You listen to me?
It sounded like you were done.
No, I'm not done.
Okay, I just wanted to inform you that you are on a factual basis incorrect because they increased the interest rate until mid-2022. There was no lowering of the interest rate.
I'm saying at the beginning of Biden's administration, there was a lower interest rate.
There is no, I'm looking at the interest rate over time. There is not a reduction in the interest rate until mid-2022.
It was low to begin with.
Okay, I heard the specific word reduction there. Continue.
I didn't say the word reduction. Or if I did, I must have misspoken. I'm saying it was low, and I'm saying that didn't cause inflation. End of conversation.
Okay. I mean, well, hold on.
It did cause inflation, but I think
the
cause of it is overstated.
I think that it's probably a mixture. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
If you let me speak,
I'm letting you speak. Go.
Okay. I've said this 10 times already, and if you don't understand this, you literally need to kill yourself. And that's a joke, of course. Only in Minecraft.
I'm offended terribly.
In Minecraft, of course. In Minecraft.
I'll download it right now.
If you have that at the beginning of Biden's administration, there was still a minimum, like at least several million people who were on unemployment benefits, but could clearly have got at least a low-paying job after the pandemic. And if we had not extended unemployment benefits, they would have had a quicker incentive by like early 2022 to look for jobs instead of staying on extended unemployment benefits. And I'm saying staying on those extended unemployment benefits decrease general productivity in the workforce, which generally, lower supply means more inflation.
Lower supply of labor, you mean?
Lower supply of labor leads to lower supply of goods, and lower supply of goods leads to higher price of goods.
Well, lower rates of employment are going to lead to higher rates of wages, which would lead to higher inflation. Yeah.
But
Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, that's part of it. Another thing is also, even beyond wages, if there are fewer people producing goods, there are fewer goods circulating in the market. And when you have a lot of money like chasing only a couple of goods, the price is going to be higher. Whereas if you have more goods, if you mass produce things, they're generally going to be cheaper than if you small. This is
Yeah. But like the problem with the economies of scale argument is that like Biden doesn't have direct control over that, and the things that he's
saying direct control. I'm saying the unemployment benefits were disincentive to employment.
I would have to look into that claim specifically because I haven't heard that argument for that being the like one of the big causes of inflation. I like ever. The majority of the inflationary forces had to do with and this seems to be generally accepted amongst like most economists, is that it was
I don't care what most economists think. Fuck most economists. Fuck poker.
Just the ones that agree with you, right?
Yeah, by definition, I am going to agree with who I agree with based on who I think is correct. I'm not going to defer to some idiot because they call themselves an economist.
So this is the problem with your this leads me back to like thought process. Instead of looking for instead of looking at information and taking where the information or like going where the information takes you, you look at what people that already agree with you say, and then you go where their information leads you. You don't look at like the broad picture and then like look at information and look at facts or look at evidence or anything like that, or look at majority opinions amongst economists or anything like that. You look at people that agree with you already. And do you know what confirmation bias is?
I can cite you numerous intelligent economists who are on the right and even center right, who would say the increased unemployment benefits were correlated with lower.
But do they say it's causative?
Positive, yes. I can show you actual economists who say that. I can't give you every single economist right now.
No, I'm not saying every single. I don't need you to give me every single economist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you could probably give me some economists that make that argument, but I feel like. Number one, any economist that says like there is oh my god, if you can't fucking let me finish a fucking fucking sentence, okay? You could probably show me some economists that are saying part of what you're saying. I don't think that they would be saying it is as highly correlative or highly causative as what you're saying, number one. And number two, anyone that does say that it was the unemployment benefits that caused this, then I would ask you, why the fuck did not every single fucking Western country outside of the United States who gave just as much or more money to people during COVID, why did they not just like completely fucking collapse?
Because they didn't give as much in unemployment benefits as America.
I literally just said who gave more or gave as much or more.
Money does not equal unemployment benefits. PPP loans and paychecks are also money, but they're not unemployment benefits. So they could have given more money as a whole, but less in specific unemployment benefits. And
do you think that like Norway and Sweden and Germany, those three countries I brought up earlier, didn't have better unemployment in like benefits for people than the United States? Okay, well we can reconvene not tomorrow, but like maybe like in a day or two, and we can compare notes on this stuff.
You do not see the
because I'm gonna have to end stream here in a minute.
But let me just speak. This is just my final thing, and then we're probably gonna be done here.
Okay.
Do you not see the correlative argument I'm trying to make with like why I prescriptively would oppose extending unemployment benefits?
I understand it. I disagree with it.
And I'm saying you are wrong.
Okay, then we're going to have to bring evidence at this point.
I provided the evidence, and the evidence was obvious. The evidence is obvious that when you extend unemployment benefits, you're going to have...
No, hold on. What you need to understand what evidence is. evidence is not drawing a logical link between two things. Showing evidence would be, hey, here is, a stats report.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there's literally any not correlation? Do you think there's literally any causation whatsoever? Even 0.1%? Yes or no?
Sure, yes, but you're saying that it is the majority.
And then we agree.
No, you're saying it's the majority.
I never said the majority. I said it's a substantial factor. Substantial does not mean the majority. I would say probably about 20%. But
I think that that's massively overblowing it. But we can come back on the facts of this because we just disagree on a basis of fact.
I mean, even on an ideological level, I believe.
I don't care about the ideological level. Give me the facts. I don't care about your ideology. I don't care about your ideology. I don't care about your ideology. Give me the facts.
You care about ideology.
No, I shouldn't care about ideology because ideology allows people like you to fucking listen to just so stories about how fucking bad the vaccine is, how bad fucking the feds are. Hold on. I'm giving you an example. Okay, how about this? How about you listening to someone just tell you that there were feds in the fucking January 6th riots, right? People telling you that you can't listen to any federal fucking website. Anything that has a .gov after it is necessarily a fucking lie. And then they give you a just so story that is logical in your mind. And therefore you believe it because of ideology. I don't care about fucking ideology. What I care about is facts on the fucking ground. Okay? I really gotta go.
Do you care about philosophy at all?
I care about philosophy. I don't care about ideology leading me into bad fucking places.
You're fucking interrupting me. I'm saying all ideology comes from philosophy. At the end of the day, if you don't have a solid, philosophical groundwork for your beliefs,
the philosophical groundwork would be liberalism. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to fucking sell out fucking everything economically so I can hold on. The liberal ideology that I'm going through is based off of fact and empiricism. It's based off.
Point would be Ayn Rand's ideology.
It's not based on empiricism.
What? Wait, what?
Mine is based in empiricism. It seems like you don't care about empiricism. You care about.
I care about empiricism. I have a different moral prescription than you. I'm saying, even if more people. I don't think
that the moral prescription here is going to outweigh what I'm saying. But I have to go. I have to eat before I have to go to work. I am an immoral actor. All right. I'm amoral, immoral. All I hate in this world are religious zealots and conservatives. All right, I'll talk to you later. Fuck me. Okay, I gotta go, guys. I love you guys very much. I've been trying to end that conversation for fucking 20 minutes. Jesus fucking Christ. I love you guys very much. I hope you guys have a really good New Year's. All right, next year is going to be more arguments with fucking conservatives because holy fucking shit, dude. All right, I love you guys. Bye.